How's it going, brother?
Hey, what's up? Do you think I should believe God exists?
Yeah,
Or
of
do you want to
course.
talk about, sure, why should I believe God exists?
Why shouldn't you?
That's just not an answer to the question.
I mean, if you don't believe God exists, then it's going to be a lonely death. That's pretty much. It's not the only
Why
reason,
would I think
but
that? Well, look, whether or not it's a lonely death isn't reason to think. Look, it could be true and what happens after you die is you have a lonely death, right? The point is, I aim to believe true things. So if that's true, that's what I'm going to believe. But no, it's not entailed from there not being a God that your after death is loneliness. I don't know why I would think that.
well, the problem is like if
You're cutting out.
God was real, He would create an instruction manual, and the problem is if God is real, He would create an instruction. We get rewarded. If we do not, then we
You're
do not get rewarded.
liking a lot. But look, why would I believe there exists a God? Why would I think there's a God?
Well, so the problem is it takes faith to believe in God
And
because
what is faith
God,
supposed
if
to
you
mean?
because well, yes, it does every time. Because if God
I
is
asked, what
real,
does faith mean?
what does faith mean?
Yeah, you said you have to have faith to believe in God. What does that mean?
Believing in Him before He reveals Himself to you. That's what it means in the context of Christianity.
Before he, and what does it mean for him to reveal himself? Like he provides you adequate reasons
Evidence.
to maintain the belief?
Yes, correct.
Oh, so you're
And
saying,
then He
oh,
measures the
but
water,
you're just
and
saying that you're
He
being
measures the water and it
irrational.
grows.
Yeah,
So
but look, if you're
essentially,
just conceding that you're being irrational when you believe in God, then of course I'm of no interest to believe because I aim to have justified
you don't have
beliefs.
to. That's your freedom. That's the nice
I
thing about
asked
God.
you, but I asked you if I should believe in God. You said, yeah.
Yes, you should. Yes, you should. You
Should
should
in what
believe in
way?
Jesus. In what way? What do you mean?
In
That
what
He died
way
on the
should I
cross for
believe God exists?
that He died on the cross for your sins and He rose again 3 days later and He is
Yeah, but I'm asking,
your
what
Lord and
way should
Savior.
I believe He exists?
You believe that He's your Lord, and when you
No,
die,
look,
you'll see Him
okay,
in heaven.
okay, I understand. Okay, I don't think you're quite appreciating the question that's being asked. What's being asked is, in what sense should I believe God exists?
I don't know what you're asking, to be honest.
You're lagging like crazy. Here, one of the ways of which you might be inclined to saying I should believe it in God is epistemically, where what that means is that there's certain tenets of epistemology, certain epistemic principles, principles that guide beliefs, and those are going to be principles of rationality, right? Where I aim to believe things that are
Okay, so
justified. Now, should I
so
believe in
you're
God as
looking
in
for like,
I have justified reason to believe in God? Well, no, like you said, in that sense, no, I shouldn't believe in God because it's irrational. Okay, well, maybe in a sense, like it
well, let me tell you
provides
this.
utility. I should believe in it because it's pragmatic. Now, do I think the belief in
Let
God
me
is
tell you this.
pragmatic? No, I'm not convinced of that either. So when you say I should believe in God,
Well,
what is that supposed to mean?
let me tell you this. God reaches out to us in many different ways.
I know, but just answer that
He'll reach
question.
out
What
to
do
you
you
in the
mean
way
by
that
Sure, but when you say I should believe in God, what is that supposed to mean?
well, with Christianity, if you
Because
don't
look,
believe in God,
just to be clear, the
I'm about
type
to
of
answer your
reason I
question.
was asking for. Okay, go ahead.
If you don't believe in God, there is hell. If you don't believe in Jesus, you do go to hell.
Look, that's just a
That's why.
consequence of if Christianity were true. What I'm not asking is that. What I'm asking is under what sense of should I? Right? You're saying that the belief God exists, you predicate that of should believe, right? I'm trying to understand the sense of normativity that the should there carries. Now, I offered you two examples, a pragmatic
Okay,
type of
I'm
normativity and
giving you the
epistemic.
best answer I
Because
can.
look,
I'm not.
under the sense,
Look,
but I'm
no, no,
trying
no.
to clarify
I'm
the
not
sense
giving
of
you a.
which I
I'm not
asked
giving
you.
you a philosophical answer. I'm giving you the answer I
But
have.
look,
You can
you
take
agree
it or
I
leave it.
shouldn't. Well, hold on for a second. You agree that under the sense of epistemic reason or epistemic should, right, which I outlined as being um, whether I have justification, right, some inferential justification to believe. You'd agree under that sense, no, I shouldn't believe in God because you said that type of belief is faith based, and what you meant by faith based was a belief maintained without evidence. So you agree under that sense,
Yes.
no, I shouldn't believe in God.
Okay. So let me tell you this. This is the
Okay, so
best I can
then,
do
but
for.
that's the type of
Let
reasons
me
I'm talking
respond.
about.
Well, let me tell you the best answer I have for you, and the only answer. The reason why you should believe in Jesus is because
I
He
don't know what that
is
means,
real.
though. You're just repeating that.
Okay, so we can move on from whatever you're asking to something else because I don't have an answer for you
Look,
there.
when you
Sorry.
say I should believe in God, is what you're saying the belief in God is guided by rational principles? Because no, you said you
Okay,
denied that. You
so
said it's faith-based.
rationally wise, in a worldly view, you have no reason to believe in Jesus. In your mind, what you are asking for, you will not receive. No sign will be given. No reality, no evidence whatsoever. That's faith.
Okay, but
That's
look,
Jesus. You
let's just
don't
get
have
clear.
what you want. You're never going to get what you have or what you
Hmm.
want on this
Okay,
life.
well,
Period.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not
You
sure
won't.
what all that
That's the nice thing
commentary was
about that.
about.
That's the
But
nice
look,
thing
let's
about
just try
Jesus.
avoiding the
Well,
commentary,
let me finish.
please.
Let me finish really quick.
Well,
That's
no,
the
I'm
nice
not
thing
going to allow
about.
you to finish the meta. I
You're
really
not
am
going to
not
allow me to
interested
finish
in.
because you don't want to hear it, brother. I'm
Yes,
trying
I
to help you.
agree. Nice observation. I'm not interested in you rambling. I'm not. Look, just to be clear, the type of ought or the type of should there when I said should I believe in God, the type of should I was referring to was epistemic obligations. You believe that no, I'm
If you
not
want me to be honest,
epistemically
I have no
obligated.
clue what
Right? I'm
epistemic
not.
means,
I already said like 3 times whether I'm irrational for disbelieving the proposition God doesn't exist.
brother. These
And you said
brain
no.
teasers and irrationally,
I mean, for
irrational,
believing God
and
exists.
epistemic and philosophy and everything else, all these big words you're saying does not
Philosophy.
matter.
What does
Because,
matter?
like, at the end of the day, you sound smart, but you're not smart enough to
Saying it.
understand that Jesus exists. You can't even get that 2 + 2 = 4. That's the sad part. You know how many smart people we have in this world that create such good inventions, but they can't figure out one thing: the Bible, Jesus Christ.
Okay,
That's
look.
sad.
There's types
And
of
that's
reasons
the thing.
that
The thing that
guide your
the reason why I feel
belief.
bad, the reason why I feel bad for you is
You keep
because you are
rambling,
so
though. Look, I'm
smart.
not
No,
interested
I'm
in
trying
this
to.
commentary.
Well, you're mumbling too. To me, you're mumbling.
I'm not
To you, I'm
mumbling. What
mumbling.
I said was rambling. Right? I didn't even say
Okay,
mumbling, and neither of us are
you
mumbling,
said
right? We're
mumbling,
iterating our words clearly. What I said is you're rambling.
but
What you're going on is an irrelevant tangent that I'm not interested in you communicating about. Someone muted you, one of my mods. Thank you. Um, look, the point of this live is to see whether I'm epistemically obligated to believe in God, and what that means is whether the principles of rationality held in my background make it such that I'm considered irrational when I disbelieve in the proposition or do not believe the proposition God exists. Now, what you said was your belief in that proposition is not guided by epistemic principles or principles of rationality. You said it's faith-based, which you said is a belief that's held without evidence, which just falls under being irrational, right? So, by your lights, you
well,
agree I
there
shouldn't
is
believe in God.
evidence. There is evidence.
But look, you agree by your lights, right, that I shouldn't believe in God when I'm talking about a type of epistemic
Not
should,
at all.
right?
Not at all. You should believe in
Okay.
God. That's my
Well, you
only
said that
answer.
earlier. Yeah, but by should, I'm understanding that to mean my beliefs are
No, I
guided by
said
principles of
from your
rationality.
worldview, worldview, you should not. That's what I said. From your worldview, because you don't believe in him, you do not see any evidence. You don't see any reason of it because
Do you
you
think
don't
there
believe
is
in hell.
evidence of God?
Yes,
No,
I
I can
do.
believe in hell and not believe in God. If there was a hell, I still wouldn't believe there's a God.
That would make no sense because who created hell? Did hell just come
Why
into
would I? Why,
existence?
why would I presume it's created?
Wow. Okay. And the best I can do for you is
That wasn't an answer.
a nation the size of New Jersey is
Look,
affecting the whole world.
Why would I suspect hell is created?
All right, brother. I'll be praying for you. You have a good day. I'm sorry.
God, that dude was scurrying from every point in the entire conversation. That was unbearable. And I was being so charitable with that guy. Dude, he was just like, whatever. Yo, what's up, I Spy? It's been a while. And Jordan Alien. Waste of time. Yeah. Why do they always do this? Yeah, what's up? What's up, Jordan?
Yo, what's up, man?
Which here you want to talk about?
I'm sorry, you said what?
Which of the topics here you want to talk about?
So it looked like you said that basically there's no reason to believe in God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, why do you think there is no reason to believe in? That's what I really.
Well, I take it reasons are a type of conditional relation between beliefs. And what that means is what I take to be a reason is when one belief motivates a further belief. Now, I have no beliefs held in the background that motivate the belief in a God. So index to me, I don't have reasons, and the type of reasons are epistemic reasons, which are type of rational reasons. Now, I don't have rational reasons to believe in God. Now, I have inductive support in conversations when speaking with theists that I've never seen an instance of what I would consider a satisfactory epistemic reason to believe in God. So for that reason, I internally have no good reason, and I suspect others don't too.
So like, have you ever like either like tried to like do some research on the Bible or actually
Yeah, of
pray
course.
before?
I was a Christian for most of my life. I was actually an apologist. I used to debate for the existence of God. It was in my research and debating the existence of God that I became atheist after like a couple months.
Oh, wow. Man, that's crazy. How long were you a Christian?
16 and a half years.
Oh, man, that's crazy how like you was there, you was reading the Bible and stuff, and but you fell away, like you didn't have like that a foundation, that you could stand on to where you would stay in your faith. I am obviously a Christian, and I'm a believer for sure. And
Mhm.
so to hear that, I'm sorry to hear that. But like, did you ever like try to form a relationship with God? Because like he is personal. He's a personal guy. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I
He is
used
a
to pray to God daily. I willingly got baptized. I've preached at my local church before. So, I mean, and also, like, if by faith you mean something similar to what the last guest said, which was just a belief without evidence, well, obviously, I
well,
don't think you should have those types of beliefs.
well, I don't agree with that at all. I mean, because faith is literally that's not what faith is. You have to have some type of evidence in order to have faith in something.
What do you mean by faith?
Well, the only reason why I came to faith in Christ is because He provided me with evidence. I'm not going to believe in something that I have no evidence to back up. That would just be foolish.
Sure, but what was asked was what you mean by faith there.
Belief in something that you can't see, at least.
Okay. So you have faith, so that just means I don't see how that's relevantly different from saying I believe in God. Because if God is a supernatural entity, which is just a type of being that can't be perceived, right? He's not spatial. He doesn't occupy space, right? He's not like an object, like a ball, right? We can't measure his height and stuff. He doesn't occupy space. He's not the type of thing that could be seen. So if it's like saying there's a thing that is necessarily like invisible, right? It just is invisible. So it's like an essential property of the object that you can't see it. It's kind of almost redundant to say you're believing without seeing, because it's already built into the fact it's unseeable. You can merely express I just believe in it, right? And it already satisfies the property of being unseeable or something. But look, yeah,
Well,
so
so
if
here's
you
the
just
thing.
why would I believe God exists though?
Okay, well, to basically go off of what you just said, because I do want to rebut on all of that before I give you why you should just believe. So like you're saying, where pretty much you can't see him. Like obviously, yes, you can't see him right now, but he can show himself to you. Like I myself, I have
What is
seen
that supposed to
Jesus.
mean?
So like I've seen Jesus. Like you said,
Like
you were a
Jesus
Christian. So
incarnate or
no, I've seen him like in my dream as well. But like you said, you were a Christian, so you would be able to look back in the Bible and know that God actually showed Himself to Moses. He showed Himself to Jacob. He showed
yeah,
Himself to
that's
many people
incoherent.
that were in the
Yeah, I know
Bible.
that's
Why
kind
do you
of
say that?
like a contradiction. Well, God is defined to be supernatural. And what I take to be a
Hmm.
supernatural entity is something that's aspatial, atemporal, right? So it doesn't have properties of being extended in space or extended in time. And or
Well,
maybe you might want to
yeah.
just say irrelational to events by atemporal. But the point is, if God is aspatial, then it doesn't make sense to say that you observe something that doesn't occupy space.
Well, does the Bible say that God is supernatural?
Yeah, I believe there's biblical support for that. But if
I
you're just
mean,
denying that, it's kind of unclear what it means to say God created the universe. Because if God created the universe and the universe is space and time, right? It is the natural world. Then God would have to be supernatural to manifest the natural world. Unless because it would make no sense, because then he would be a member in the natural world, so he wouldn't be creating the universe.
mhm. Well, in the Bible it says that He cannot be confined to anything that He creates. So,
Yeah, did
so
God create space and time?
yes, He did. He created it. I guess.
Okay, so he can't be in space and time to create space and time, or else he wouldn't be
Hmm.
creating it because it already pre-exists, right? It's logically prior. Okay, yeah, so then you do believe God is supernatural. He doesn't occupy
Yeah, I
space
mean,
and time.
to be more
Yeah,
specific,
so
the
that's the
Bible says that He is
contradiction.
spirit.
It's incoherent to say something that's spatially inert somehow is perceivable, right? Because I take it phenomenal data is going to be furnished, or the way you obtain phenomenal data, right, is derived from objects, right, from physical entities. And God's just not that type of thing, right? So he's just not perceivable. Like analytically, it's just essentially true of the nature of God that it's not the type of thing that you could perceive, given it's supernatural.
Well, I mean, the Bible does say that it's pretty much impossible to completely understand God. But it also says that you, like I said, you can't put him in a box. God is pretty much, you can't really just go off of that thinking, because he can actually become, he's came in physical form, but he's also spirit. So you can't really go off of that. It's kind of,
Wow, that's different. If you're talking about Jesus incarnate, it's the same way a human has a soul, right? And they have a
hmm
physical exterior. Now it
true.
makes sense to say God, who is Jesus incarnate, where incarnate, he takes this almost like clay body. He takes a body where the body is extended in space. And of course, it makes perfect sense to say that people can perceive Jesus, right? Because he is extended in space. It doesn't make
True.
sense to say something that's not extended in space is perceived. Now, look, let's take a molecule, for example, right? They're so atomically small, you don't observe them because how little space they occupy. Now, imagine that something that occupies literally no space at all. There's not an object there. There's nothing to observe. Objects are things that occupy space. It's like showing me literally nothing. And by nothing there, traditionally we would just mean something that's spaceless, right? And there's even ways we would, as an intuition pump, even molecules are the types of things that are perceivable, right, on a microscopic level and are spatially extended. And yet
hmm
even those are the types of things that the naked eye can't capture, right? Now
Yeah.
imagine something that doesn't even occupy any space. There's nothing
Well,
to phenomenally capture.
yeah. Well, I mean, but to say that God is spirit doesn't mean that he does not have a form. It's just that we live in the world.
I
We
don't
don't
understand
live
what
in
that would
this.
mean.
I mean, what I'm saying
But
is
by
basically,
form, the way I understand that is like the organization of natural entities.
mhm.
Now,
Well, we can't.
God,
You go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say organization there is a type of locational relation, right? Where what it means for there to be an organization is there's an arrangement. In order for there to be an arrangement, there has to be different points in space, and of course, that's built into having form. If what you mean is the arrangement of natural entities, that something is in space, and given God is not in space, it makes no sense to say that he has form. Now, maybe
Well,
you're using some different ill colloquial definition of form, which I just wouldn't know what that would mean. You'd have to
well,
give me like an analysis.
in the Bible, Jesus says that no one has seen the Father but Him, right? So, which which is God. You can say, we all call. Well, I'm not going to say all, because some people say Jesus is God. Some people say the Holy Spirit is God. Some people say the Father is God. Well, I believe that they're all three is God.
Look,
So,
all
so
I'm
if
saying is
Jesus
under
says,
yeah, go ahead.
all right. So what I'm trying to say is that Jesus says that no one has seen the Father but Him, right? So that would mean that that God has form that is seen, that we just can't see it here in the physical world, because we don't have that ability.
Yeah, so I wanted to respond to that exactly. So what I would presume is the type of meaning to the word see there is like equivocal, right? It's equivocating, where it's not using see in the traditional sense. Because, as explained, right, as the analysis I provided, it's actually like logically incoherent to say that a supernatural entity is seeable or perceivable. So maybe they're using a different sense of the word see, right? A different type of definition. Kind of like I could use the word bank to refer to, a stream of water, but I can also mean like some economic building, right?
hmm
Um, where I can make deposits and loans and stuff like that, right? So we're using the same word, but what we mean, we're communicating different contents by the type of utterances that are communicated. And that's what I think is going on there. Because if you're signing off on the traditional meaning of see, where it's essentially true to be seeable, that you're a natural entity, God is seeable and God is not a natural entity, we're just going to clearly derive the contradiction. God is natural and God is not natural, right? And that would just face logical tension for your view, where we would have to say your view is false. Now that's obviously something we want to avoid. So we would have to suspect what we mean by see there is something different than the traditional way of using see. And I just don't know what that sense of see there might mean.
Well,
So I don't know what
I
it
mean,
means to
by
see
by
God.
definition, what other way could you interpret that? There's no other way to go about it. It's really only
It
what can
might,
be seen.
I mean, look, there might be ways of fleshing this out where the type of concept can only be had when acquainted with the way you can acquisition these concepts just require you to be spiritual to understand these concepts. And given God is spiritual, only he can apprehend, or any maybe angels and the members of the Trinity, fallen angels, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Only those types of entities have the ability to acquiesce this concept, because maybe it's precluded of being natural that you can actually have some apprehension of these concepts. So under that type of lens, you might be inclined to saying what is the concept, these types of concepts of being acquainted with what it means to see in this type of idiosyncratic sense of see, right? A non-traditional sense of see is only had of beings that are already spiritual, and given we're not spiritual, it's just impossible that we are acquainted with these concepts. But look, this is kind of all besides the point, right? Let's just maybe do you think you have a good reason for me to think a God exists?
Oh, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, yeah, I can give you the gospel. I'm not gonna sit here and try to convert you because that is not my job at all. But I can give you the gospel if you want to hear that. It'll be a rundown, so it's not gonna be a few words uh, at all. I don't. I mean, do
Uh, you're lagging a bit there. Actually, a lot. You just froze.
oh, can you hear me now?
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you
Oh,
now. You're still a bit laggy. By the
okay.
way, can everyone here tap the screen, share the live? Let's try and get some people up here. Hey, what's up?
Can you hear me better now?
No, you're still lagging. No, you're still lagging.
Still lag? Oh my gosh. Ah, hold on one second.
Is Flencer in here, by the way? Where's my boy Flencer? No, he's not here.
Okay, can
Damn
you hear
it.
me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you get anything I said?
No, I haven't. I
Dang.
didn't hear
All
anything
right, so
from after I asked. Or you
okay,
said
that's
the
all right.
gospel.
Yeah. So I was pretty much gonna say like I'm not gonna like sit here and try to convert you because that's not my job to do it all. But what I was gonna say was I can give you the gospel, and that would be my reason as to why you should believe in God. And I was asking like, do you know the gospel at all?
Um, and I don't make by the gospel, you're just referring to a set of books in the Bible.
No, I'm not. I'm actually giving the like where we came from and what our purpose is here and why we should actually look to Jesus. But it would be like a rundown. It
Um,
wouldn't be like a few words.
I'm not sure how. So you talked about our purpose, which is something about teleology, the value of life, and the aim for life.
Hmm.
Um, you said something about us being guided by the lesson. Look, I don't understand what any of that. I don't understand how any of that motivates the proposition God exists.
Well, it would motivate it because it would give you a picture of where we come from and how things came about. Like, I mean, okay, can I ask you like, how do you even think we came about it all? Like, do you think we just like it was just an accident?
Um, where did we come? By I'm not sure what we is. Are you talking about humanity when you say where did we come
I
from?
would I would say life as in general,
Where did life? Okay, where did life come from? What is an accident supposed to mean there?
as in like Big Bang or something. 'Cause that would be the only other option as far as science goes.
What you mean by accident is Big Bang? I'm
Yeah,
asking what you mean by the word accident.
as in like accident, as in it just somehow happened out of thin air.
Out of life came about from thin air? I don't think anyone has that view that
I'm
life was
saying like
formed from
I'm
thin
saying
air.
like yeah, I'm what I'm trying to say is how do you think that life came about? That's all. And I was giving like did you think it just came
I'm
about?
not sure I even believe life came about. I'm not convinced life had came about.
Hmm. So to me, it just sounds like it honestly sounds like you're just searching for answers when it comes to when it comes to God being real in life. Period.
Well, yeah, I'm concerned. Well, I mean, that's kind of trivial given the topic on the panel live. Is that I'm interested in what are like good epistemic reasons to think there's a God.
Hmm. Well, nature. There's no possible way for nature to come about without something creating it. How do you end up with water on Earth without
Um,
something putting water on Earth?
Okay, well, there's a couple issues there. If something came into existence, it requires a creator. I don't understand why I just wouldn't hold to that type of principle. I don't know why. I'm not, by creator, do you mean something with intentional states? Like a mind?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I would most definitely not believe that if something came into existence, it requires a mind to be the explanation for how it came into existence. I'm not
Well,
sure
I
why I
mean,
would think something like that.
well, if you look at a cars wouldn't
But also,
exist
you said
without
nature came into existence. Why would I think that?
how. That's what I'm asking. Like, how did things come about? How are things how they are today at all? How do you think
But
that it
look,
came about?
if but look, if I heard you correctly, what you said was the natural world came into existence, and everything that came into existence requires some type of explanon, which is something that does explanatory work, where that explanon has the property of being a mind, where it's just required of the thing that explains things' existences is some type of agent, right? A being with a mind. Now, I don't believe the natural world came into existence. I also don't see why, if it were true that it came into existence, it's required of it coming into existence that there's a mind behind its manifestation.
Hmm.
So why would I believe? Let's start with why would I think the natural world came into existence?
I told you pretty
Actually, no,
much
we can
already.
start with why would I think it has a mind? I think that would be more interesting. Why would I think it requires a creator if the universe came into existence?
Well, I believe that it requires a mind because in order to start anything with a creation, you have to think of creating it in order to. There's no
Yeah, but
way to.
I'm asking why I believe that that it is created, and by created you just mean explained by mind, right? Why would I think it has the property of being created?
I'm not sure if I understood. Understood the last part of that question. You said
Yeah, so you think that the universe is created, which means explained by a mind. Why think it was created?
because it had to come from somewhere.
Okay, there's two issues again. I'm unconvinced it had to come from somewhere, but if it were true, it had to come from somewhere, which just means the fact the universe entered existence requires an explanation. From that fact, we can infer that the explainer is something that possesses the property of mentality. I don't
Hmm.
see how you even get that. So no, I'm not convinced that if something enters existence, that it's required. There's an explanon, a thing that explains the fact. But it's also not clear why the thing that explains the fact is essentially a mind. I don't know why you would think that.
So, I mean, what other reason would you have that in order for something to be created, period, without something having the thought of creating it? What other way could that be?
Well, I don't think that's because what you meant by created is such a way that it just isn't. It's a feature analytically of created that it's brought about by a mind. So no, I would agree that if the universe was created, then it requires a creator, which is just the agent that explains the fact. Now, what I find contentious is the fact that it is created, which means that there's a mind that explains that fact. So it just doesn't seem that's required under any modality. It seems like strictly very dubious, but I'm just trying to understand maybe why you would have the belief that if the universe came into existence, that it's explained by a mind.
Well, yeah. Everything that's on this earth that has been, well, it's kind of hard to use created because you're. It doesn't seem like you have a belief of something can be created at all. I'm not sure where your mind is with that, but everything on this earth that has a purpose
I
has
think things
only
can be
one
created.
rule,
Or,
huh?
well, look, I'm not entirely repelled by the view that something can be created. It's just not clear why I would think the universe is required to be created.
I mean, you can't have a primary without a secondary.
You, I don't. I guess I don't understand what that's supposed to mean.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain that, but well, I mean, I get. Well, I'm actually running out of time, but well, it seems like man, you're pretty. You're searching for some answers, trying to get everybody's viewpoint, but I don't see no problem with it. You seem pretty peaceful with it as well. Some people are really just stuck and pretty weird ways on trying to, just debate people on stuff like this. But you're doing it pretty peacefully. And, I actually like it. But I do pray that
Yeah, thanks.
God comes to you know now He gives you grace and understanding and His wisdom in order for you to understand on creation and life as well, on the things that you lack understanding in. I mean, like we don't agree here, but I can definitely say that I do wish the best for you on like your search of
Sure. Yeah.
knowledge.
Okay.
But thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, peace.
All right. Have a great one. Wish you the best too.
Thanks, man.
All right. Have a nice day. All right. Let's continue like the live and share the live. Try and get someone else up here. All right. Doesn't need to be anyone well versed. Unfortunately, I'm not convinced there's anyone well versed on this app. But I mean, if you can always try and invite someone who is onto these lives. Hey, what's up? Which topic do you want to talk about?
Dude. So I kind of want to talk to you about agnosticism and get your take on it. I recently found your YouTube channel, subscribe to that. I like your takes on stuff.
By the way, everyone should subscribe. Best debate channel.
Definitely. So I consider myself an agnostic. Are you familiar with the position?
Is it something like the term God is like ill-defined or not contentful, something like that?
Yeah, basically, like, because like we lack a referent to tie to this like God characteristic, it's fundamentally meaningless. So I just kind of wanted to get your take on that, and I guess like, why do you call yourself an atheist versus not an agnostic?
Well, I don't see why. So I just don't have this type of view, this robust view that you seem to happen to have of the philosophy of language, where what it means for something to be meaningful is that there's some reference that the sense maps out onto. So I don't take it that there has to be a reference for something to be meaningful. I think unicorns don't have references, and those terms are contentful and meaningful in such a way in which they're fictitious. And we can still apprehend the meaning of the word. They're still contentful. We're still communicating and conveying information when we make those terms that don't happen to map out onto anything in the real world. So I guess that just integrate with philosophy of language, where you would have some type of position like that.
Well, yeah, but like isn't that reference? Because you're saying that a unicorn doesn't require a reference, but I guess the referent is the thought of a unicorn, right? That you're kind of grasping onto.
Well, a referent in philosophy just means where the set of properties referred to maps out into an entity in the actual world. And it can be true nothing has the property of being magical, a horse and one horn on its forehead. Right? Maybe those three properties conjunctively don't map out onto any specific entity. But I don't take it that those predicates are meaningless, or that because I mean, maybe it can map out onto some mental representation of an entity, but that's just not what's really meant by a referent. A referent refers to an actual entity in the world. And these certain mental items like imagination aren't what we would consider like entities of the real world. That's why we call them fictions.
Oh, I see. So thoughts aren't reference in philosophy?
Yeah, traditionally.
Okay, understood. But I guess like we don't have the referent, like we don't have that unicorn with the horn on it to tie it to. Like, can we really say what a unicorn truly is or isn't?
Well, there's two ways of generating definitions. It's from having some constructivist or arbitrary set of predicates that we just ascribe to the term. But there's another sense where there's already an entity in question that's being referred to, and we just gather and investigate the properties of that thing. Right? Like in the case of the conception of a dog, we didn't model the conception of a dog prior to being acquainted with some entity that has dogness, right? We gathered the concept of dogness from an entity that already instantiated these properties. And I think it's perfectly fine that, inversely, you have the prior where it's just some random set of predicates, and those things don't have to map out into anything in the real world, right? I think we do that all the time traditionally in language and in folk language, like Santa maybe, someone who goes down chimneys on Christmas the 25th, goes like all of American chimneys, within like 18 hours or something like that. I don't think something like those properties maps out into anything in the world, but I don't think they're meaningless, right? Those properties are meaningful, and we can conjoin them to make a set of these predicates, and the set of predicates don't map out into any particular entity. But I wouldn't say it's just meaningless. I would just say that it's not referring, and that it's like fictitious.
Yeah, and I guess my contention is like, if we're not referring to something that does exist in reality, like, isn't our ability to know what that thing is it then does it not exist, our ability to know?
Well, if in the way that I described, where you have a random set, the way of knowing there is this type of entities investigating the world and seeing if any particular entity satisfies these properties of, what we might mean by God. I think something like that is a difficult task, especially when we consider our type of methodologies of acquiring these types of articles of data, where God is a non-natural being. So I think it's not really clear how we might, in that way, generate reason. I think there's like an actual referent there, but I don't see that as problematic. I think that might be support that God is not real, but I don't think that would support that the term God there is meaningless. Because look, when I say, at least for me, because I do make the claim, I deny the existence of God. Presumably for me to deny the proposition, right? A proposition is like some expression that's declarative, right? And the contents of a declarative as expression, right? It's something that could be true or false. So the contents of an expression that could be true or false. So for me to have the belief there isn't a God, of course there has to be something contentfully having the attitude of disbelief, right? And that just maps out onto my concept of a God, where what I mean by God is traditionally some mind that, or at least has the potential to create the universe, maybe even more strictly, is a mind that did create the universe, right? I don't believe something like that exists.
I see. And then when you say meaningful, like what does that mean to you? Like, you're differentiating like meaningfulness and significance, correct?
Yeah, I think significance is contextual. It just depends. When I say something, maybe, thanks for the heart. When I say something is significant, that maybe is interpreted as how something plays into the integrity of some type of conversation or point, where meaningfulness is just some set of expressions that are conveyed, and the meaning of those expressions are just what is intended to be captured by the speaker. Right? When I say red, just the sound, right? Pigs aren't going to know what I'm referring to, but other agents, more rational agents like humans, interpret that as me intending to convey maybe some concept of some particular quality of the surface of objects that's instantiated, a color quality, right? And that's what I mean by red. What I mean by red is this specific concept I intend to communicate to my interlocutor or the speakees.
Yeah, I guess what's confusing me though is like, when you say red, like, you're looking at something in reality, and then you're saying that this.
Yeah, I agree.
Is
things
red.
like red are, well, I think certain concepts, in some kind of murky sense, require some objects or those predicates to be, like, I'm not even convinced certain concepts. I'm not convinced maybe that you can acquire sui generis, or what that means is like some very significantly unique concepts without actually firsthand experiencing them. But in the case of red, I think those are one of the concepts you would have to be acquainted with the actual color to have an understanding of what is being communicated when I say the word red. And the way we would define that is ostensively, which means I would just show you an object that instantiates the predicate, and hopefully that would be sufficient for you to capture what I mean.
So because red describes something in reality, we need a referent in order to base that definition on? That's kind of what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying anything about the requirement. I'm saying I don't believe you can have these concepts. Like, look, it's possible somewhere external to the observable universe, there's like an intermediate wavelength of light, right? We can even, where we find a bunch of new colors, and, the only way we can be acquainted with those concepts of those colors is if we firsthand perceive them. And given they're external, they're in some space, some region in space, such far out that we can't observe them. We just can't be acquainted with the concept of, say, like a color glorp. We're just never going to know the color glorp, because colors are the types of properties that we can only understand or have a concept of when we firsthand perceive them. I'm not saying it's required for maybe there, because the concept might be interpreted as strictly acquisitional, that it's required there's a referent.
Well,
But I'm
going
not
back to
sure if that's
glorp,
even true.
like if you say like glorp is sploosh sploosh, like just because, let's say, if people have an idea of what sploosh sploosh is without a referent, you're saying that's still meaningful because they have
Yeah, if they still
collective
have
idea
some
of what
mental
sploosh
content.
is.
Yeah,
I
well,
see.
I'm not sure about the collectiveness thing, but if it's possible, it's logically possible at least, someone just exists in a vacuum, right? So they experience nothing but the vacuum, yet they already have the concepts of colors in their head, right? Yet they had done nothing to furnish those concepts. I think that's a logically possible world where someone can have, they can have this faculty of conceptualizing colors, where they can think in their head of redness, but there's no external things that have these qualities that can be referred to. In the same way, I think. Mhm.
I was gonna say, I think I disagree with that, because like you just lived in a vacuum your whole life and you never experienced red, and you never got the label red from someone else. Like, how would you envision what that is? I don't know. I feel like it's hard for me to accept.
Um, Maybe it is a bit counterintuitive. The point is that it's still at least logically possible, right? It's just there's not a contradiction in having this mental content. What explains how you have the mental content is nothing. There's not, you just brutally have this type of mental content. This mental content does not map out or model anything in the actual world. I don't think a
Oh, I
scenario that
see.
has all
Okay.
those facts is logically impossible.
Yeah, but maybe it's possible, but I guess you couldn't really, without the referent, you couldn't really coherently describe what it is, maybe? I guess would be my point. Like, maybe you could imagine it, but like, how do you even
If
know
by
you're
describe you
imagining
mean
what it is?
communicate to someone else, well, I think privately, as long as you have the mental item, it shouldn't be much of a challenge for you to introspect on the concept, or for you to display this application of imagination where, you conceive it in a number of ways. But if you're talking about describing it, which I presume you mean communicate the concept to another agent, and they don't have the concept, I think there it might be, maybe there's some like type of acquisitional restriction on what you can actually do to communicate with that person the concept. I think there, like what I'm saying is, I don't think it's much of a challenge for there to be a concept in your head, and that concept doesn't map out into anything in the other world. I might agree though, if someone else doesn't have that concept, and there's nothing that the concept maps out onto the world, though I might have the concept, there's nothing, it wouldn't be feasible for me to substantially or contentfully say stuff such that they capture the meaning of a word without there maybe being a referent there. Right? I think maybe that might be challenging, or even some type of like infeasible thing, but I don't think it's an issue to say that there are these concepts that I have that just don't map out into anything in the real world. But in that case, notice that we're also talking about things that are unique concepts, right? Like a new color. In the case of Santa, we're talking about concepts we both share. We both share, the property of going down a chimney. We all, all these concepts of, America, all of America, one night, putting presents under the tree. We all understand these concepts and they're all meaningful. But when we conjoin all these concepts and make a more rigor or type of stringent logical expression, where we're saying there exists some X such that X satisfies these conjoined properties, or this set of properties, right? What you're saying there is that there's something in the world that has all these properties, a particular entity. Now, I would agree that's not true and there's not a referent, but I still think it's meaningful, right? And I think something like, if each member in the property set, each property in the property set is meaningful, then I would think you can quantify over the whole set of properties in that property set be meaningful. And it also makes sense to say that a meaningful property set is indexed to an entity. But if you're saying in the actual world, these set of properties are indexed to an entity, that's a different question, right? That's why I think we can conceive of things like Santa, that we would agree Santa's not real.
Right, because it lacks the referent. Okay, and then like, can something be meaningful but incoherent in your view?
No.
Something can't be meaningful.
What I mean by incoherent is just not meaningful.
Okay, so incoherence means a lack of meaning. But I guess at what point does something become incoherent then? Because like if I just define a meaning for glorp, it's now coherent? I guess what does it take for glorp to be incoherent?
I understand what it might mean to say something is logically incoherent, right? And that's just if we do some analysis into the formal system of logic and the axioms of logic, if we can deduce that there's some type of expression that's inconsistent with maybe the axioms of logic, in that sense we could say it's incoherent. Another sense we can say something is incoherent maybe is saying that, let's say I'm talking with someone and they use a term like potentia, like some Aristotelian concept. And actually, I ask them, what do you mean by potentia? And by potentia, they mean something sui generis, right? Metaphysically unique from modality, let's say, which is like the concept of possible worlds. And I say, okay, so then what do you mean by potentia? And they only have examples. And I ask if they have an intentional definition of the word. They're like, no. I'm like, then how do you know these conditions are satisfied? And then you might be able to illustrate there's some indeterminacy with like properties that are shared in examples of potentia, where you might have like some type of rule following objection, where what it means to have a rule following objection is at least a type of intuition pump to what I might mean by rule following objection. And say we have two different formal systems like mathematics and quadratics, right? And quadratics and mathematics are identical, except when you multiply 1 by 2 in quadratics, you get 1,000. Now, if I multiply 1 by 2 in mathematics, I get 2. Now, let's say I have the expression 1 plus 1 equals 2. And I ask you, am I using mathematics or quadratics there? Well, the only way I would know the difference is if I had certain mathematical entities and operators of 1 times 2. Now, in 1 times 2, we can demarcate between the two formal systems in use and application. But when I say 1 plus 1, that becomes indeterminate because both systems would output the same result, right? And if that's the only fact we're considering when trying to demarcate between the formal systems applied, it just becomes there's no relevant fact that can be used to show some asymmetry between, oh no, this system's in use or that system's in use. So I think in that way, just that's some way we can understand incoherence where, when I talk about potentia, they can't show any relevant distinction in concepts that map out with another concept. And then it just becomes unclear whether they might reconsider whether they're even saying anything meaningful, and they might, be conceptually impoverished, or which just means they don't actually have these concepts. Because that's a common thing too. I think there are many people who believe they have concepts that they might not actually be acquainted with. And that's like some confusion, especially with like continental traditions of philosophy, where they tend to use gibberish. They don't actually know what they mean by a lot of words, like scholastics and stuff like that.
Like Jordan Peterson and shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, cool, man. Well, thanks for the talk. Appreciate it. I got to think about it a bit more. So I take it you're an anti-referentialist. Is that what you'd consider yourself? Is that what it's called, I guess, first and foremost?
I'm not sure maybe on the label, but if what you just mean by anti-referentialist is that what it means for something to be meaningful is that there's a reference for which the property is described, then yeah, I'd be an anti-referentialist.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, thanks, man. Appreciate the combo. I'll see you on YouTube.
Peace. Have a good one. By the way, I see Hatim and Brodo are requesting. I'm gonna bring you guys up after this guest because I'm trying to strictly do debates. So if you two have questions, I'll bring you up at the same time right after. You guys can ask, and I'll just drop you both down.
Hello. Why is there no reason to believe in objective morality?
Well, I never said that.
If you say that you affirm subjectivism?
And by affirm subjectivism is what you're just saying, the type of moral normativity or moral language that I use, what I mean by good or these normative concepts, it is just something like my preferences, like a cognitive view where the truth conditions are certain stance related facts, because I'm kind of like a meta-ethical pluralist. I think I could use moral language in a number of ways. I can say something emotive, like ouch. I can mean something error theoretic, where maybe I just mean like all I can quantify overall like externalist accounts of moral facts or more realist accounts and deny those, or I can mean something more naturalistic. I would never use moral language to mean something platonic ever in my fucking life. That's disgusting.
What do you mean by platonic? And what also do you mean by those terms, pluralistic terms? Do you mean ways that are subjective and not subjective? And then if you say it's subjective, what do you mean by subjective?
By subjective, I just mean what makes, what I mean by this is wrong when I say something has a negative value, where what makes that proposition true that has a negative value is indexed to my preferences. That's what I mean by subjectivism, but I didn't hear what the prior question was.
Yeah, what problem are you trying to solve?
I'm just saying I don't think there's a strict fact as to how moral language is used, especially not me. I use it variantly, right? Kind of like contextually, I might mean a type of pluralist accounts of these meaning of moral value when I communicate them. I'm saying it is straightforwardly silly to deny moral subjectivism, which is just meaning that people have certain values that are made true stance dependently, right? Those things are true. There are facts of the matter that people use moral language in that way, and that there are phenomenal values, and those values might be made true by stances, right? Certain beliefs make it true, or whatever, certain mental facts, right, where it stands dependently true, right? Maybe my attitudes and whatnot. So in that sense, it's almost trivial that subjectivism is true. Maybe not an absolutist or universalist account where everyone means this, or everyone has maybe certain values that are made true by stances. The point is, when I say this is wrong, and what I mean is something subjective, it makes no sense to say, well, you can't mean something subjective because moral values are objective, because that's just to not appreciate what I'm actually conveying to my interlocutor.
So what you mean by the subjective is simply with reference to the subject, which is why you call it subjective, right?
Well, subjective in metaethical literature means stance dependently true, and by stance we mean certain. We can just
preferences,
like mental. Kind of like it's just made true by mental facts, like phenomenal content. It might be made true by that, or by my beliefs, or maybe not. You might attitudes that might just mean beliefs, stuff like that. Intuitions, other stuff, just mental facts.
All right. Why only those?
Sorry, what?
Now, why only stances? Because in traditional philosophy, they use the term subjective because, again, using, to put it simply, reference to what a subject is, a thing that has a mind like any human being, which they consider a subject. That is the underpinning of why you use the term subjective and objective today.
No, that's not true. You can have views.
They use it that way.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to. Well, it's not true that's how it's used in traditional philosophy. In metaethics, it's.
What do you mean by traditional philosophy?
The way contemporary academics are inclined to using language, they strictly use the phraseology stance dependently true and not subjectively dependent true. Because there's cases where you can have moral theories that are realist in nature, right? And they do require a subject. You can have these types of queer naturalist views where it requires, observers, or you can also have moderate realist views where moral values are inherently a property or are a feature external to agents, but they only exist if there are agents, where they're subject dependent, but they're not made true by the subject's stances.
That might be disagreeing on what you define truth even as, because you can make a truth with reference to both something subjective, if you want to understand, in my sense of subjective, but I was wanting to respond more so to your understanding of what I mean by traditional philosophy, because you might be meaning tradition as in how it is used, and that is to be ongoing, present tense, so ongoingly. But I mean traditional as in more of with respect to time.
Here's an example. I'm just trying to. Here's an example of what I might mean by something moderate and moderately realist.
Right.
Like, let's say
we can get to that in a second, but also I wanted to say that you said that. Actually, no, you go ahead. Just see what you have to say, and then I can get back to my point.
Yeah, so here's an example. I might say when we talk about an axiological domain or a domain of value that is not essentially moral, right? Let's say gastronomy, which talks about the nature of taste values and taste, we might say that taste values require a subject, right? Because you can't have tastes without subjects. But also, those tastes, the facts of taste are subjective, right? They're made true by certain phenomenal states or mental states of an agent, right?
So are you saying that
What it means for something to taste good is a
true?
type of experience associated with my experience, my gastronomical experience of maybe consuming some object like ice cream, but it still requires subjects there, right? And that's what we might mean by some type of, we can mean something that's there is still subjective, but under your view, you know, it's required there's a subject and they're made stance dependently true. There's views that they're made stance independently true, yet require a subject.
Right. Anyway, I was trying to go on and say,
yeah, and those are in contemporary literature still considered more realist views, because what more realism is more realism as standardly defined by almost every ethicist I'm aware of. Mackey, anyone who literally writes on ethics, you if they go into elementary or rudimentary analysis of what it means to be the ethical metaethical theory of subjectivism is just two theses that is constitutive of the theory. It's one that the theory is cognitive, which just means these types of moral expressions are truth-apt, and the second thesis that satisfies it sufficiently is that the truth of the moral facts are made true by stances or not by stances. Now, in the case of subjectivism, it's made true by stances.
Understood. So do you mean that truths, moral truths at least, are going to have to be made with reference to some subject, as you understand it? Because you seem to be extending your definition of subject to also non-rational things. You said something like taste, but that would not be unique to something with thought. And animals have tastes.
I'm confused what your question is.
Right. The way I understand a subject is by the classical definition, which is what I meant by traditional philosophy. Not traditional in the sense that of how it is used, which is probably what you were coming from.
Look, you could limit
I understand
theology
what
to
you're
the
asking
domain
about.
of
But in the sense of,
rational beings or something.
but in the sense of older definitions, with respect to time, as I said, older definitions of what it means to be a subject. Because originally, the Greeks, the Romans.
I'm not understanding what are you asking me a question right now? I don't know.
I was asking you a question.
You
I was
are.
elaborating on why I was asking that question. So, are you trying to extend
I
your
don't even
definition
know
of
what the
subject?
question was.
Right. Again, let me ask. Do you mean that are you trying to extend your definition of subject to things without thought? Because in your example of taste, you were including
What?
because
No,
you were saying.
those wouldn't be agents.
What do you mean by
What are you
agent?
saying? Something with a mind.
Could that include something like an animal?
Something that has preferences, something that has goals, that has mental content.
Yeah,
Not
That's
in the
typically what we
sense-
mean by an agent.
Is that-
Are you trying to like preclude something from being included in the definition of subject, or what is any
what
of
is
this
this
in
question? I
service
don't
of?
understand.
What do you mean preclude? Do you mean include beforehand? By pre?
No, to like make outside of the set, to not be included in the set of things that we're talking about.
I was trying to
Yeah, it's
I was
excluded.
trying to quote unquote preclude things like animals from your definition of subject. Because in your example of taste is not something unique to what you refer to as a subject or agent.
I don't understand. I don't even know if you maybe have a point or if we're even disagreeing on anything. To be honest, I'm not even sure what you're saying. So I'm not. Flencer, do you maybe understand what he's saying?
Maybe
Or Davy?
he can just articulate the proposition that he's defending.
Descending, condescending, you mean?
Defending.
Oh, he said, excuse me. All right. I was trying to ask you about your definition of subject and why something is thereby subjective. So,
Subjective doesn't mean
How about
requires
this?
a subject.
Subject is something that's not an object. Is that informative?
sure. But in the sense of etymology,
In
why would
opposition to objective.
And an object, and if you don't know what an object is, it's something that's not a subject.
Sure. Regardless of definition, why would it grammatically make any sense then to inflect the word such that it has a relation back to the word subject?
I'm not sure how it becomes grammatically incoherent that way. Like, what syntactical rules of grammar does it break?
Not necessarily has to be syntax, but accidents rather than syntax.
But you're saying that it's somehow inconsistent with certain linguistic axioms?
Not
There's nothing
necessarily.
grammatically incoherent? Then
No,
why
not
would you say
necessarily
it's
my thing.
grammatically
It's
incoherent?
consistent, but
Wait, I mean, do you have some sort of argument that you're trying to make? Or are you just, I don't, what is the question even on service of? Like, what are you unclear about such that, defining what monkeyboy means by subjective is going to like clarify something else for you?
I want to put it quite simply. Now, I do not do well with your modern terms, I have to say. I'm more of a classical philosophy person myself, right? But I'm asking, why would it make grammatical sense? Why does it make any grammatical sense and reason to inflect the word, so to change its ending,
Well,
technically.
it makes grammatical sense because it doesn't somehow defy any rules of grammar.
Are you
Like,
like
why
unclear
would-
what is meant by the term subjective?
Subjective just means subject relative.
I was trying to be a bit implicit about how it relates back to meaning, because typically when you inflect a word, it changes the meaning. Like, you change it from being a noun with the word subject, and you have an adjective when you make IVE, that little, when you have that.
Like, it's just saying we're just indexing it to a subject, to an agent. Why is this hard?
Subjective just means subject relative.
Subjective means subject relative. You mean in relation? Like, by relative, you mean in relation to a subject?
Look,
I mean,
you
there's
understand-
It's
what I mean
relative
is
to the facts of.
there's indexicality, and the indexes are subjects.
What does index have to do anything with the grammar?
Wait, when somebody
just
says
explaining what it
vanilla
means.
is the best flavor is subjective, you don't know what that means?
I'm not even trying to advance, so not really toward
Can
meaning.
you answer that question?
What is that relevant? What does the question even have to do?
Can you just answer the question?
We're trying to bring index in. I see. What do you mean by
No,
index?
answer Flencer's question about ice cream.
You say to me vanilla is the best flavor, and I say, well, that's subjective. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
Sure. Relative.
What do you think he
to
means?
Person, to what one might think. I would identify a subject with a human.
Okay, so if we genetically modified a human such that they're no longer part of the species Homo sapiens, then they're not a subject?
Yeah, so the
If you were-
important part there
so
is just
the
that they're an agent.
Hold on.
capable
I
of
want-
kind of
I want-
discrimination.
might be assuming-
I want him to answer
might be
that
assuming
question.
Is your question trying to assume that Homo sapiens is somehow distinct from being human?
A human such that they're no longer a human. They're like technically part of some other species. They have the same.
Sure.
They have the same mind.
Or say, sure,
He's
maybe
not gonna
perhaps you
understand
limit the
this.
mind. Maybe perhaps by that you might be limiting the mind, but maybe necessarily.
Look,
No.
we take
They're
chimpanzees
not, their
and we
mind. Hold
modify
on.
them.
Their mind is staying the exact same. They're just not part of the species Homo sapiens anymore.
Mason, you think you can help him or?
Yeah, they're now
I
quadrupeds.
mean, I would define.
He's not
and
gonna.
they're no
he
longer
can't- it's
mammals.
impossible for him to
I could
track,
say
like,
human-like. I could say
something like
human-like
this
because
sort
it
of
has-
like scenario that Davy's given. Like he's his current. It's like beyond his current capability to even track it. So like I don't think it's like.
Okay, well let's give him a
Beyond my
chance.
ability, if I have no-
Okay, so what you said. So what you said was.
No. You want to
if
give
some-
it. You want to give it a
for
proposition at home.
something to be a subject, it has to be a human, right? So I gave an example where it seems like something is still a subject, even though it's not a human.
Sure, I understand your example, but this person wants to go ad hominem for a second. I just want to ask
wasn't
why
an
was
ad
going ad hominem?
No, he was just making an
That was
inductive
not an
inference.
ad hoc.
Okay, whatever. Just ignore what he's saying. Okay, so you understand that it's not actually right to say that something is only a subject if it's a human.
I could say human-like because it still has
What does that
capacity.
mean?
Because
Does
it has
human
the
like
capacity
does
to-
human like mean being like rational or something?
Sure.
Having a
why,
mind?
Why would a human be anything different?
Okay, so something is a subject if it's rational.
Sure. And if you have the same idea of rationality as I do, what do you mean by
God,
Like
rational.
being able to engage in like abstract reasoning, and
Why
like
is it simply- I mean, that would be the acts, but not necessarily the capacity. I would think rationality is a capacity rather than the acts of actually doing that.
I said, being able to. Isn't that a capacity?
Sure.
Like the ability
might-
to do that.
Let me put it in a bit more ambiguous way, but sure. That has a participle, not necessarily the noun you were looking for, like the capacity, but you're giving the participle being able to.
Okay, so let's say we have like a disabled person, right? So they're not rational. Are they still a subject?
Sure.
Okay, so actually rationality isn't a necessary prerequisite for being a subject. So is it just that it's a mind? That they have a mind? Is that it?
So why does a mind not necessarily... So are you trying to say that a mind can be independent from something like reason?
Well, I mean, presumably like babies aren't rational, but they still have minds.
What do you mean by mind? You mean like...
Like
non-intellect?
they have a subjective experience. There's something that it's like to be that thing.
Sure. So you mean not necessarily having an intellect, like intellectual capacity.
Sure.
Think about what Davy said, that it's something like to be that thing.
Yeah, there's nothing that it's like to
I
be
mean,
a
they
rock.
could still have
There's
an
like a
intellectual
locus
capacity.
of mental activity.
Well, sure.
It's
Sure,
not like anything to be a rock,
Obviously,
right?
mental activity isn't going to be informative if we're asking about minds.
Well, I didn't know we were asking about minds now. Did we
Yeah,
ever
it's
gotten
just
that far?
having
That's
experiences.
good.
So you agree to be a subject, you have a mind. Does that sound right?
Sure.
Okay, so I think we're all on the same page about what subject means.
Sure. And for your disabled example, not that this has
Subjective
to add to our discussion.
means
Not that
it's
this has to-
relative
not that
to
this
a
has
mind.
to add to our discussion, but you think that a disabled person is still a subject.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you think
They
that?
have a mind.
You think,
Unless they're disabled to the point where they don't have a mind.
Well,
I would.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a person.
Sorry.
Let alone a disabled one.
Sorry,
Disabled
the term
human.
disabled. Sorry, but the term disabled like implies that their mind is limited, like disabled as in unable to, because it implies
Like,
it
your
can-
mind
sorry,
is limited.
Sure, that can imply disabled to a degree, and I would say disabled can come in degrees as well.
Yeah, of course. I thought it was just obvious that by disabled I meant like severely mentally disabled.
Sure, it might. It
Like
can get in degrees.
someone like what's her name? Bree? That's
Bree.
that's the thing that's always brought up during Name the Trait.
Sure, they can have less of a, you could say less of a disposition to really be a subject. Maybe they may not exercise their reason or rationality as fully. But I still see where you come from.
I mean, I don't think they'd be less subjects. They would be less rational.
Disposition to be a subject. What does that?
Don't.
Okay, whatever. Right? Okay, so
I just let that.
so now
one
that
slide by.
now that we're on the same page about what it means to be a subject. Subjective just means there's some sort of indexicality, and the indexes are the like values or attitudes or beliefs of subjects.
It's like an arrow pointing to the subject.
Yeah, it's like if the sentence "My name is Davy," when the index is me, that's true. When the index is monkeyboy, that's false.
So I mean, the index is what you are referring to.
Kind of, yeah.
You can say
that was
in
kind
that
of
sound
what exactly do you mean?
something particular.
If that was somewhat what
He's
you mean,
not going to track any of this.
Yes, he will.
I
We
don't
have
think
faith.
he will either.
We have
Or like,
I don't have that.
like the sentence "pizza is tasty." Maybe when the index is me, that's true, and when the index is monkeyboy, that's false. Maybe.
because he's a pizza hater.
I actually do hate pizza.
But when you say
Okay, then
kind
that's a
of,
perfect example.
sure, but when you say kind of, what exactly do you mean? Because you were saying that I somewhat understand, but not totally.
He says you understand it enough to continue the
Yeah.
conversation.
It's good. It's a good enough operative definition.
Sure, it was a sufficient, not
What
modally.
is the point of this? Like,
no,
what are you trying to
neither
show
of
him
those.
exactly?
Yeah, still not sure what he's arguing about. He's the only thing I know that he's
I'm
asking
trying to make sense of it.
by
I'm not
subject.
trying to argue, but I want to refine what we mean by subjects.
Okay, so we've gotten a refining.
I think we've clarified that.
I forget where we are even trying to.
Hold up. Wait. So is he trying? Wait, is he trying to give an argument for God? Like, what is he doing?
No.
I feel like
like
in
asking-
the
No,
moment,
I wanted to.
look,
Didn't
my
he just say
spidey
he's not
sense
giving an
is
argument
telling
there?
me that
I
he's
think
going to
more
try to
likely
say
I was trying to look at
God's morality
Those
subjective
are
is
the
right?
subject
subjective.
morality stuff.
We were
I think he
talking
wanted. I
about
think he wanted to
subjective.
clear up all the definitions, and then he'll figure out what kind of argument he wants to give.
What I want to
An
give.
argument for what? Like what? Like
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. He's
What-
asking about metaethics, so probably something about how subjective morality doesn't make
I
any
don't, I,
sense.
don't, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but like, what point do you want to make here?
I want to ask Monkey about his definition of subjective morality. So,
Okay,
not
you
necessarily,
want to
like
get it now?
not necessarily is that going to involve an argument so immediately like you want to push it.
Do
No,
you understand his? Okay, they gave you a definition. Do you understand it now?
sure. A lot of you also filled in for his definition, so I do
Okay,
not
now
even
you
necessarily know.
now you understand it. What now?
I understand your definitions, which might reflect his, but not necessarily do I know
He
exactly
doesn't
what.
disagree with anything we've said.
He's
think we
signing
all-
off
I
on
think we're
everything
all-
they said.
No, I do not
Yeah.
disagree, but he can still have a definition, and I wanted to go to him.
Monkey Boy, did
Not
their
any of
the
you.
definition they gave reflect your understanding?
Yeah, they're actually trying
Okay,
to
it
give
reflects
an
his
analysis of a
understanding, so now-
shared definition.
Sure, and they
Yeah,
gave
so
good
now
examples.
you know his definition. So what now?
We are going to look at subjective morality. So you mean morals? If the quote unquote index to one person is going to be right, and then the index to another can be false. That's what you mean.
Yeah.
For morals.
Mhm.
Now,
All right, now you get the definition. Now what?
what about some things that are not necessarily relative? What about things that are universal in nature?
Like what?
Like what?
Are they moral facts? Because that's the only thing that we're saying are relative.
Well, what do you mean,
No,
you mean
that
moral
the
as
question
in
doesn't even
right
make
or wrong?
sense. You're saying
Moral
You're
fact,
asking-
like it expresses something being right or wrong in a moral way.
wait, why are you responding to some gibberish question? Like what he asked made no sense. Like I don't.
Well, we're trying to be charitable.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like trying to interpret it in like the way that I thought he meant it, even if he like expressed it in a way that is like you have to do some like work on it.
All right,
Like,
what do you mean by right?
you're asking what about facts? What about facts that aren't relative? What about facts that are quote unquote universal?
Yeah, what about them?
What about them specifically are you asking about? Like
What about them
what's-
is universal?
Make the question more precise.
I mean, it
Say
could be a
something- say
universal
something like
fact
murder.
that all
Say something
morals
like-
are indexed
something-
to a subject.
Something.
No,
like,
come on, don't say that.
No, say something like.
No, like
in
here's
itself.
an example.
Just wait a second.
Here's an example. Look, there's a pencil on my desk, right? That's not going to be true
Well,
relative
just
to
let him get it
indexes.
out. He was almost there. Wait, sorry, what were you saying?
Who?
What?
You.
Right. I was trying to exemplify something that, in of itself, by its essence, by its definition, by its nature, by its form, is very wrong. Something like murder, say, because it was. If you define murder,
Murder is defined as murder is defined as unjust
Let's try to
killing.
say murder.
sure.
Sorry, yeah,
Which is what?
murder. So it's just in the definition that it's wrong.
Right,
Wait,
and that would
are you-
mean
wait, are you-
under all instances. Sorry, that would mean under all instances, if you said something
Because
is
it's
murder,
defined as
then-
unjust.
Well, that's just
we don't even-
analytically true.
Do you know what he's asking yet, though?
I mean, universally as in every
He's
instance.
asking.
I think
you said that
he's
morals are relative,
look,
but what
I
about
think
objective moral claims?
Yeah. I think. Okay, this is my chess prediction. Okay, I think he's confusing an analytic truth for like some kind of fact about the universe.
But does he even know like does he know what an analytic truth
What
is?
is it?
No,
what is the difference?
I'm not saying he does. I'm just saying
Like-
he's like, oh, look at murder. Its definition is that it's
Like,
wrong.
you
So
guys
there's like
are-
some
you
sort of
guys are
metaphysical.
inferring-
Implication.
Look,
for
you
that.
guys are
Yeah.
inferring
No.
way too much from him.
Wait, no, because
Yeah, I don't understand how you're
looking.
even
This is the issue.
trying
This is the issue. This is the issue. You're looking at it like logic is prior to something like metaphysics. I would say metaphysics is prior
Now
to
he's
logic.
saying more gibberish. Guys, stop
Okay,
talking.
what the hell did he just say right there? This
Yeah,
was
that's
like,
just-
No, you were
that's
saying
just
no.
straightforward
I will say.
This is what happens when you guys like.
There's no way I'm
hear,
charitably
a vague
interpreting
cloud of
that.
nonsense and start
No,
inferring
of
a
course
bunch
there's
stuff
not.
from what he's
I don't even know what that means.
What I mean is that from how you are, I'm going to put this very simply, from how we know the world, from how we define things, you're saying that we make a definition, it corresponds to the world, it goes out into the world.
We're not
I'm
saying
looking this guy up, I'm
murder.
sorry.
We're not saying the definition of murder corresponds to something. That's just what we're just saying. When we take something to be wrong and it involves killing, we're calling those things murder.
I would not say all
That's the
killing is murder.
disconnect
No,
button
I would not say
on
all
him.
I didn't
killing
say
is
all
murder.
killing is murder. I say when we take something to be wrong and it involves killing or whatever. I don't know what to say for TikTok.
Unaliving.
I think you
Unaliving.
can say killing. I haven't seen. I think that's fake. That you can't say killing, but schmurder you definitely.
Yeah, I don't. We shouldn't say like
can
these
you
like
s-
stupid Fortnite words.
Can you say like this person is like highly regarded?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
say regarded.
Yeah, I think is your name.
I just got that.
How do you pronounce his name?
Adam, just Adam. Just Adam.
Adam, you are a highly regarded fellow.
Okay. That's an
Okay,
ad
okay,
hom.
chill out. Yeah, that's an ad hom. That's not.
You know, but in a positive way.
Well, it's an ad. It's an
Yeah,
ad hom.
it's
in
a
one.
positive ad hom.
It's an ad hom in one use in one like meaning of ad hom, not in the strict way.
Well,
Right,
it has
not in the
dialectical
strict
utility,
ad hom,
so it's
right.
technically.
We're not showing some contradiction in his own view.
Well, that's the super strict sense, and then the moderately strict sense is like some sort of argument that because of some
All right,
character. Whatever.
let's just vote between the four of us. Do you guys, or I'll let you
Kick
three.
him off.
Do you think we
Please
should
kick
keep
him
him off?
No, I think he's fun.
Okay,
This guy's like
I'll
Davis.
decide my.
Of course, Davis.
look,
Stupid.
okay, I'm the tiebreaker. I'll decide what proposition do you want to defend?
I thought you were about to give a list of propositions. I was going to say that when we give a definition, that it comes from the world, not that it goes into the world as if it was something arbitrary or
kick
random.
him off. He's It's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's enough
Yeah,
of that.
I was gonna say
I think
that.
Mason, you might want to talk with this guy. I talked with him before. He didn't connect. I don't think.
I can see the request box right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna bring up this dude. Who's this? Is this
Right.
Kason? No, I thought this was Kason for a second.
That's Kason's alternate way of doppelganger.
Dude, you're not funny.
That was pretty much what the previous guy sounded like.
Oh, look, it's.
I don't know about that. Yeah, this is the dude. You might want to talk
Yo.
to him, Mason.
What up, boys?
All right,
What's
wait,
up?
is this guy worth talking
I
to? Is he
identify as a
waste of time?
man.
How's your week been, monkey boy?
It's been good actually, very good.
Good for you, bro. I'm happy to hear that.
Monkey
I
boy,
had
is this guy like a
fucking
waste of time?
3 midterms this week.
He's way better than pretty much everyone else who's been on the pin, I would think.
Okay, but is he like willing? Like, what's he here to talk about?
I don't know, ask him.
Yeah, I just ask.
Okay, what are you here to talk about?
Yeah, maybe let's talk about implications of moral subjectivity or moral subjectivism. Implications like, does it necessitate, or what's its relation to maybe moral obligation or moral duty?
Are you
Why would
asking,
there be
like-
Why would there be any normative implications from subjectivism as a metaethical theory?
Wait, no, the question's not clear yet. Like, what are you asking exactly? Are you asking like what a
Moral
subjective? Are you
yeah,
asking like
moral
what analysis a
subjectivity, how-
subjectivist will give about obligations, or something
Sorry,
else?
I cut you off. Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Are you asking what analysis of obligation a subjectivist might give?
Yeah, actually, precisely.
Okay, so here's one possible thing they might say.
Mhm.
A subjectivist might say, when you say somebody is like obligated to do something, you're just saying that you would approve of them doing that thing.
Okay, fair. And that
You
there.
wouldn't say approve though, Kartik. You probably say because that's more of a moral permissibility. You probably say like
No, approve is fine. But what were you saying?
Approve
Ian?
is fine. No, that
if
makes
it's
good sense.
obligated, it means you approve it. Because I would imagine approve is just you're permissive.
But it's not
Not really
obligated. The
open
point is that there's no obligation.
Well, one analysis they might give of obligation is just in terms of their own subjective approval.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're.
So it might be the case that what it means to say somebody has an obligation, in some way, the right conceptual analysis of that is to say that I approve of the person doing it to some degree.
Okay.
So that's like one. I'm sure I could think of a lot more, but that's like one. Does that answer your question?
If they have an obligation, you would disapprove if they didn't do it.
Yeah, you could also say something like that.
If it's supererogatory, that's compatible with your definition.
Yeah. It hinges on approval.
Or more like
approval of more like yeah. Okay. Okay. So I'm in a philosophy.
There are different ways supererogatory. Like sometimes people say supererogatory means that like you're obligated to do something, but if you didn't do it, you wouldn't necessarily be a bad person. And then sometimes people say it's something that's good, but you're not obligated to do it.
Yeah, I take the second one to be more meaningful, because I just take obligation to be like it would be wrong if you didn't do it.
I asked this question.
The second one I was saying is that the second one was you're obligated to do it, but if you didn't do it, you wouldn't necessarily be a bad person.
Oh, I thought that was the first one.
Yes, yeah, you mean the first one. Yes,
oh, okay.
But it's fine. Yeah. Okay, so have I answered the question, or do you?
Yeah,
I think I answered the question, right?
More thoroughly than yep. No. So yeah, I'm in this philosophy 400 class right at university. It's called effective altruism.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is extremely interesting, and so we have to grant, I guess, a few axioms in order for the theory or philosophy to prove valuable. Like one of the axioms is that it is better to live a longer life if you're guaranteed value from living a longer life. So if the subject is able to say, it like longevity is better than shortening of life due to like death of unnatural causes, diseases or illness. So it's better to not die.
We're gonna try to get to the point. Like,
well, would morals, subjectivism. They wouldn't.
Like a subjectivist could agree with that. Like that's subjectivist could like hold that view. If that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that is more so what I was asking.
Well, obviously, right? Like a subjectivist can hold any moral value, but the question about objectivist view would be like, why should we uphold any objective or any objective?
Yeah. So then, right. I think that then it follows that I would want to ask the question, right? Why there's no like moral objective? Why there's no moral objective to?
By objective, do you mean like a goal?
I mean like obligation or duty. But I guess that
there is.
Yeah, there is.
We've just spent the entire time explaining how subjectivists would explain.
I see that. So then where's where's
monkeyboy? This guy is like stupid as fuck. Like, why would you want us to talk to him?
Where's the major?
No, he's in a philosophy 400 class.
Where's like the tension between a subjectivist view and an objectivist view?
Well, an objectivist view doesn't mean that there's objectives. It means that there are objectively true moral facts.
And we cannot say that it's an objectively true moral fact that living longer, if values maximized is true objectively.
Well, you can't say that. It just might be false.
It's not. Yeah.
Well, I think when he said can you and be saying something true.
Mm-hmm. Well, you understand.
In the sense that you value it, it'll be true that you value it, and that would just be
subjectivism.
Well, but
it's not true that only I value it. And
a lot of people use the word objectively different from how meta-ethicists use it. So you could be saying something true. You just wouldn't mean what meta-ethicists mean when they say something is objectively true or objectively false.
Yeah, and just because you and I or most people agree, or even everyone in the world agrees, doesn't mean that it's objective.
Yeah, like on the colloquial meaning of objective, I agree that like killing is objectively wrong or like something like that. Not on the like the way it's used in like metanormative discourse.
Okay. And I agree.
So you could say that, just as long as when you say objective, you don't mean stance independent. If you mean like independent of like bias, personal bias or like something, then that could be true.
Okay. Because under particular circumstances, it is better, like in a trolley problem, to pull the lever or something. Since we're
not even that. Like somebody could be indifferent to life, right? They don't care if they get unalived or stay alive.
Yeah. Someone can be indifferent. Yeah.
So it's not going to be like clear to them why they should value life.
All right. Well, It seems like this is over, so I don't know if he has anything else.
No, not particularly. We have just been going over maximizing value using quantitative in super.
You don't have to be misanthropic about it.
Super forecasting.
I don't even know. I forgot what misanthropic means.
This guy just say super forecasting. What is that?
Yep. So that's a
extending your
philosophical
horizon
technique.
out to some arbitrary limit.
Yeah.
Or
All
like
right, I'm
taking
gonna
into
kick. I'm
account
gonna
the
kick
future of the
Theo off.
universe.
All right, go for it. Go for it.
Is that like just using your imagination or something? Like I don't. What's that?
I think it involves your imagination. Yeah.
Flencer uses imagination all the time. Like he pretends that like evil is actually somehow a
He,
problem for
he
theism.
pretends that soul building. He pretends that soul building doesn't solve H costs.
Yeah. Somehow I imagine that it doesn't, and it becomes true.
And the H cost was obviously justified because, like, when the people were like crying in the gas chambers, their
It was
character
really building their.
developed in this like
It was really
simpering
building their
way.
character.
It did. Well, I mean, some people
We're gonna get
fail to
screen
build their
caps.
character, but that's not God's fault.
I think we're good. Come on, everyone, tap the screen. Let's get to 15,000 likes. Share the live. I actually don't care about the like number. Let's just get a lot of likes so we can get some new people up here to argue with.
Yeah, your lives have been a lot more popular since you changed your background and stuff.
I think it's since you
Since I've
changed
been
your
bringing up
debate
Davy.
style.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
since he changed his debate
Dude,
style, I was gonna say that too.
You know,
I don't
in
think
my
it's his. No, the debate. I don't think it's his
Oh, you're
debate.
I think it is,
motivated,
actually.
Mason.
Dude, no, look, listen. I posted my new video today, right, as a premiere, and people in the live chat were saying, literally 2 people said, I love this new monkeyboy arc. The being generous and granting everything is golden.
It
Do
is
more
golden.
of this.
Yeah, you get to see
The
you
people
explain
like it. You
stuff.
got to give people what they
People
want.
said they're so
Yeah,
happy I'm
I
kind
don't-
with my interlocutor.
You have to give
No.
people what they
Jesus,
want.
and you're just not telling
I think
us.
because like if you're talking
Yeah.
about like who's watching the live, yeah, I'm not. I don't see why that would really have anything to do with it. But if you're talking about who's coming up to talk to you, maybe there's some impact. I mean, I don't know. Like,
You actually, I feel like you learn a lot when you watch a live from someone who's like patient with their guests. Like when they're actually taking their time to explain stuff. Like you can actually learn a lot if you don't.
Well,
That's why
the best
Danny's
is when
popular.
they do that, and then it ends up in a yelling match.
I think that's why people. That's part
Those
of
are
why
the
people
best.
like watching Danny
Yeah.
because they learn a lot from his lives.
Yeah, but if yours ended with yelling and calling someone a piece of garbage, for example.
Well, Danny has
That
both.
would
He's
be
like the
even
best of
better.
both worlds. He does the education and the yelling.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, I think the most informative debate style, and this is no glaze, is Jack's debate style. Dude, I've learned so much from watching Jack when I was a theist.
Yeah,
That
well,
is
he is
like-
very
Is that
patient.
objectively true?
Yeah, of course. I'm a global realist.
I think you guys handle lives really poorly.
Who's you guys?
Davy and
You people. You
Fairy
people.
Flencer.
You people.
What do you mean by that? You mean Colombians?
I
You're
think you should just
Yeah,
host the live,
exactly.
Cartesian. Just host the live, Cartesian, and show us how
No,
to do it.
no.
No, yeah,
Cartesian
Cartesian, you
would-
gotta host a
Cartesian would
live.
have
That'd be great.
5 different people every minute.
Look, I think if we had this endless
That'd
queue
be
of
cool.
people, then we could employ Cartesian's technique
Wait.
a little more liberally.
That's a little ill-charitable. That's like comparing Mason to Darth Dawkins. Come on now.
Yeah, but Darth Dawkins kicks because he abuses mod powers. Cartesian would kick because he's impatient.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
I kick people because they're stupid.
They're regarded.
That's compatible with what I
regarded.
said.
No, but it's not
You're-
because
you're
I'm impatient.
impatient
I
with their
think I'm
stupidity.
very
You're,
patient.
you're impatient with stupid people.
No, I think I'm very patient. It's just that they kind of overstay the patience.
You're
Um,
perfectly patient.
I mean, I guess
I don't-
I think that you can. Yeah, I think you can. That's compatible with Davy's interpretation, but that's besides the point.
No,
Here's the
It
next-
just
I'm
takes
not
a lot
saying
longer
it's
for them
not-
to
I'm not
overstay
saying
my
it's
patience
incompatible.
and Danny's patience.
No, he isn't very patient. Haiti does not agree. Come on, we gotta tap the screen. We're
Well,
losing
Katie's
people. We
a
gotta
woman.
get someone up here. Yeah, women don't exist. So I
All
don't.
these people talking about abortion in the comments.
Maybe
Oh,
you should.
yeah.
Danny used to have like all the trigger words for people to come up, like pro-trans, pro-choice, moral anti-realist, God doesn't exist. The more things you put up, the
Pro-abortion,
more
that's a good
guests you'll get because it makes them want to come up.
And Jesus was a Muslim, if he did
Because
exist.
they're just dying to tell you how you're wrong. Oh yeah, and he also used to put the Jesus is trans stuff too.
Hey,
Well, I mean, that's just obviously true.
there was this one live where I saw trans men are men, and that got so many people commenting.
Yeah, when they say trans men are biological men.
And by
Also,
bio-
wait. I never actually heard these debates about Jesus is trans. Is it just like he was in heaven? He was like gender
he
neutral and he became
transitioned
male?
from
He was
Right.
transitioned from
non-binary prior
he
to his
transitioned from the
incarnation.
divine gender to the male or to the human gender.
All right,
Yeah.
what do you want, man? What do you
Those
hear to
aren't
talk about?
genders.
Well, he's
Well,
non-binary before,
Well, he was
definitely.
he was a man, but not in the human way.
He's also a twin
What's up,
spirit.
Algebra?
Algebra guy.
He's a two-spirit guy. You know, he's got the human spirit, divine
Hey, I
spirit.
wanted to know,
He's dual gendered.
according to
What's up?
biology, when does human life begin?
Or conception.
No, this is the guy I was
fertilization.
talking
Yeah,
to.
at conception. Yeah.
Why do you ask?
So are you okay with, let's say, an
Yes.
abortion doctor telling the patient that it's not a life?
Wait, sorry. Are you okay with? Wait, can you re-ask? Let me make sure. Are you okay with an abortion after like telling the person that the entity is not a life? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I'm asking you if you think that shouldn't be medical malpractice or not.
Yeah, no, I don't care. I mean, I
Why?
think it might be general like medical mal. It might be like in general, like doctors perhaps like shouldn't like lie to people. But if like let's say a doctor did lie to the person, they said like it's not alive. I'm not sure like why that would make the abortion wrong if the person would get an abortion. Like imagine if somebody said
Don't you
like
think
this
it's a conflict
blade
of
of grass
interest?
is like not a life or something, and somebody like mowed their lawn. Like I mean, so what? Like
Well, that's
It just
different
sounds as
though.
a propaganda tool to try and talk women out of abortions. That's why he wants them to get ultrasound.
Hold on, I don't understand where that came from. I've never heard this before, so how can it be propaganda? I'm just asking you guys
You've
a
never heard what
question.
before? You've never heard what before?
My talking point about.
okay, just ask your next
Yeah, I
question.
just
What's the
wanted
next
to
question?
know if you guys would be okay with allowing a woman to sue her doctor if the doctor explicitly says it is
This
not
is
a
like
life.
this is like a legal question, not a moral question. Is this really
Well,
interesting?
if you're asking like some sort of if you're asking
abortion
like
issue is more
I mean,
legal
you can sue
than
people
if
for
you're
anything.
asking legally, am I okay with like some provisions that like allow people to like sue if they're like lied to in certain settings? Like, yeah, maybe I'd have to think more about like the legal restrictions and like what
I mean, you'd
counts.
have to show damages.
What
right, that
malpractice are you
resulted from
talking
It's an
about?
interesting question
well,
if it's
the
compatible with
damage is
it.
the loss of the pregnancy, right? So I'm saying,
You
let's say in
mean,
a state like
when
New
they
York,
ask for an
Hold on,
right?
hold on.
You-
Why is that
you
even
got
an
an
interesting?
abortion.
Let's
Like,
say a
kill the baby, but
17-year-old,
it's
a
unalive.
17-year-old girl in the state of California or New York goes to get an abortion without even seeing a judge or their parents even
A
knowing about it.
judge?
Yeah,
They ask the doctor
without asking her
explicitly.
husband.
Why
If they
won't
ask
the
the
judge help?
listen, if they ask the doctor explicitly, no, I'm saying the judge because in the cases where it's a minor, right?
Just keep go on, just go on.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure she understood where I
All right,
came
so
from
there's a
with that.
17-year-old walks into an abortion clinic, gets an abortion. Now what?
No, I said ask the doctor explicitly, is what's inside of me a human life? And the doctor says no, explicitly.
Yeah, the doctor
no.
would say
hold
yes.
up,
I don't know. The
No,
doctor would
the
say
dog
yes. I don't know what
life.
you're talking
I
about.
want
The
to say
doctor would
something
say
briefly.
yes.
But
Are you sure? I'm just asking.
Yes, I'm sure.
If
Wait,
you're
what-
Yeah,
saying
I'm sure.
the doctor would say yes, then you support legislation that says that they should be sued.
wait,
It's
one
medical
second, wait,
malpractice.
but-
right?
I
Should
don't
be
give a
sued?
fuck.
It feels
I
like
mean,
he's
where
trying,
do
it
you
feels like
think
he's
the
trying to
whole
get. It feels like he's
self-
trying to get. It feels like he's trying to get signatures for a petition. He's not actually interested in our
I'm
views.
just trying
Why
to.
don't
Where
you
do you
just tell
guys
us why
think
you
the
think
whole
abortion's
Cells
wrong?
talking
Why don't you
point
just
came
tell us
from,
why
though?
abortion's wrong, algebra?
I want to
It's
say real quick. There's
unconstitutional,
a lot
that's
of
why.
legal problems there because
Wait,
like
algebra.
when
It's
Algebra, you think
unconstitutional,
abortion
right?
is unconstitutional?
Yes, you guys have heard of the whole fetal personhood movement.
Yeah.
It was right out of the Roe v. Wade decision.
Yeah.
If fetal personhood can be established, then abortion is wrong. Period.
No, that doesn't follow.
How does that
wait,
follow?
what do you
goes
mean?
against
Wait,
the
what do you
fo-
mean by
well,
personhood?
That's literally in the Roe v. Wade decision.
Well,
Do you say that's wrong?
on the usual usage
Yes.
of personhood, they're definitely not persons, unless by person you mean like morally valuable. Then of
Well,
course, if we
corporations were
establish
people.
fetuses are morally
Listen.
valuable, then
Corporations
then
were
we
made
should
into people specifically for 14th
Well, not
Amendment
really.
protection.
They
So I'm
were
talking
made
about
into
14th
corporations.
Amendment
No, they
protection.
weren't really made into people. I mean,
just
that's a stretch.
just try
No,
to figure out
legally
what he's
speaking,
wait.
SCOTUS literally made corporations
Okay,
into
wait,
people.
Literally
just,
didn't.
just wait a second. Wait,
They
let me just try
literally
to
gave
figure out
them
what's being
arms and
said.
legs and a head.
No, I'm talking about 14th Amendment
Algebra,
protection, guys.
algebra.
I'm talking
By
about
your
14th Amendment
logic, the
protection.
Supreme Court made it so that a corporation can bear arms. Does that make sense to you?
No. Wait, you guys
Can
know
we
what I'm
stop
talking
bringing
about, right?
people up? Let's just leave the
For
number. I didn't
14th
get the
Amendment
point. Let's just
protection,
leave the number of
Okay,
people.
a
That's
corporation
okay.
is considered as
Let
a
me
legal
just figure out
person.
what you're trying to say. So
So
you're saying
corporations were given legal personhood.
you
I'm trying to
speak to
give
that?
Hold on.
fetuses the
Let's
same
just
status. That's
let
it.
Cartesian speak for a bit. I'm trying to
okay. Just hold
figure
on. I'm
something
just
out.
trying to figure out. I'm just trying to figure out something. Right. So you're trying to say abortions are immoral for some reason. Okay. Like what is the reason you're saying they're immoral?
I never brought morality into it. I said it should be
Okay. So
Yeah, I
you're
never
not
brought
making the case that abortions are immoral.
making
He's
an
making the case that it's
unconstitutional case.
unconstitutional.
Okay. You're saying abortions. Okay. So you're saying legal abortions are unconstitutional. Okay. Just make that argument then.
Well, I have been. You just assumed that I'm making a moral argument. I never
Okay.
brought up anything
Yeah, no,
about
I
morality.
know. I didn't assume that I was asking you a question, right? So I didn't make the assumption.
The point
Okay,
is,
just like-
he's just,
so
you're
make
making
the
the
case-
claim it's unconstitutional.
just
I
make
guess.
I'm
the
saying
argument.
my argument is that
Wait, just make the
corporations
argument
have
that it's
legal
constitutional. Like which
personhood.
provision in the Constitution does it violate?
The 14th Amendment, Equal Protection Clause.
Okay, yeah. So
For
can somebody bring up the
persons.
14th Amendment?
So you guys have never read this whole fetal personhood?
No, I just want to make sure we have something up that we can both look at. Is anybody able to like? Are you able to like go on screen or something, or is anybody able to do that?
I can
Sorry,
bring it
check
up.
No
for what?
state shall make or enforce any
Okay, wait,
law
Monkeyboy,
which
can you
shall-
make Davy the? I don't know how do you do that thing where you like make one person like?
Expand, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Um,
Can we just bring up the 14th Amendment?
I'm not. I can't like share my screen or something.
I can read it. It's
okay.
really small.
Okay.
I'll
wait, Is
say it
there
out loud.
anybody here able to share their screen?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just read it out loud.
Okay, sure.
I mean, it even says all persons born or naturalized in the U.S. So I don't.
Okay.
14th
so
Amendment is grants citizenship to formerly enslaved people and extended the Bill of Rights to the states.
Okay, what part of it is violated
It
by?
said equal protection clause, right?
And,
it says, nor shall
here's what
any
it says.
state
Nor shall any
deprive
state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property.
Liberty or property without due process of law. Nor
Okay,
deny
sure.
any person with any
Okay, what's the, now what's the legal definition of personhood?
Well, considering that corporations or persons, it's not.
No, that's not. Wait, can somebody pull up the legal definition of personhood?
Here, I'll do that.
Okay, cool.
Individuals, legal entities,
biological
and agents of
personhood,
the
right? I
United
hope
States.
we've established biological personhood.
Wait, stop talking. Wait, sorry. Can you read it again?
Yeah, a person is defined to mean any individual person as well as natural and legal entities. It specifically includes in United States and state agents. So there's like legal entities. So like a company could be, but on the other meaning, it like means like an individual or something, or like natural person means like a living human being or something.
Okay, living human being, and I assume like they're like. I mean, I assume like there's like I don't know. It might be restricted to like is there like any further definition as to like which people count legally as persons versus not? Or?
Oh yeah, here's another one. A legal person in law is any person that can do the things a human person is usually able to do in law, such as enter into contracts, sue and be sued, own property, and so on.
Okay. Okay, cool. So this guy's saying like that clause is somehow violated by legally allowing abortions. I'm not seeing it.
Well, the first definition, an individual human being. That's why the personhood of fetuses are denied ever since Roe v. Wade. The definition of person is simple.
That
an individual human being.
Extend.
Our responsibility here tonight is to determine whether or not a fetus is an individual human being or not.
No,
but
whether it's a person.
That's what you just read. The definition of a person is biologically speaking. That is also the definition of a person. You wouldn't say a fetus isn't a wise man, which is what a Homo sapien.
Wait, but are you saying that legally speaking, would you say legally speaking, the fetus would be considered a person, like just under like whatever current legal definition is being used?
Yes, it would be considered a person, legally speaking.
Okay, under what definition of person are you using?
The biological definition of person.
Which is what?
So it just means a living human?
A living human being, yes.
Okay, so under that definition, yeah, we would agree that they would be considered persons. We just don't think that's the legally used definition.
No. Listen, though.
I'm just curious. Do you think like euthanasia and the death penalty is unconstitutional?
That would be unconstitutional, but it says without due process. It says without due process, right? So you have to have a process in place. That's why people say it is constitutional, but I personally am not for it.
Couldn't we say the due process is like doing like medical ethics and stuff and coming to the conclusion that it's justified?
That's the thing. Medical ethics does not say that it's justified.
We might need to clarify something briefly.
Before then, there used to be abortion doctors and then there used to be OBGYNs. Over time, they merged the two categories together.
Okay, we might need to have to clarify something briefly. Like maybe first like what it means to violate the Constitution, because I have like two interpretations. One interpretation is like, it's out of accord with, the tenets of the Constitution as like the original people who wrote it intended for it to be, or the original people who drafted it intended.
Yeah, like spirit of the law versus letter of the law.
Yeah, something like that. Another way you could talk about it is like, sorry, what?
I was just saying, even the most recent Supreme Court decision doesn't extend personhood to fetuses. So I don't know.
Okay.
No. The Roe v. Wade decision.
No, I'm saying Dobbs, the most recent one, 2022.
Yes, you're right. They chose not to talk about that.
That's right. They didn't extend personhood to fetuses. They said the states have the right to regulate abortion.
It's kind of.
Wouldn't the precedent set by the Supreme Court be more important?
Be more important than the Supreme Court didn't say anything on the issue of fetal personhood. That's pretty much it.
It had the opportunity to and chose not to.
No, they didn't. So you're saying that the 14th Amendment should be done away with because
in that decision, of course they could have, and they chose not to. They just made it a state's issue.
We also have the Comstock Act, which any president that doesn't enforce it is in violation of it.
Wait, is whether, I'm just trying to be clear on something, is whether or not like an entity is a person, is that also like a state by state relative thing, or is that like a federal thing?
It's also state by state.
It also says the reason for the term legal person is that some legal persons are not people. Companies and corporations, i.e. business entities, are persons legally speaking, but they cannot be people in a literal sense. There are therefore two kinds of legal entities, human and non-human.
Yeah,
But I
but
mean,
okay, but are there
presumably,
literal sense, though, right? You'd agree. I want
but
you to
are there
agree
is it but
that
like are there
babies are
things
literal
where
persons.
wait, stop talking over me. Are there things where like someone is like a person like in like one state, or something could be a person in one state and not another, something like that?
Yes, if a pregnant woman loses the baby, you can be charged with homicide in some states. That's the most common way
No,
of.
that's not what that's not what I'm asking. I know you can be charged with like double homicide or something. I'm asking, is it the case that legally speaking, there are conventions where somebody might be a person in one state, or something could be a person in one state and not be considered a legal person in a different state? Like, I'm asking basically, is personhood a state relative policy or state level policy, or is it like a federal policy?
It is state level. There is one law in the federal level that but it depends. Like it
If it's
depends
state
on
level,
who's
then
in
what's the
power.
point of saying, when you say like it violates the Constitution? Like what exactly, like maybe now I'm not even sure what you're saying when you say like it violates the Constitution.
So anyone, it's not even the states, right? Like if no one is allowed to violate the equal protection clause. I mean, if you want to talk about private institutions, you can.
I understand that part. Like, you're saying you have an interpretation of the equal protection clause that like applies to fetuses or something. But like, we just don't share that interpretation.
Roe v. Wade justices, by the way. The Roe v. Wade justices, I told you from the get-go, they said
we don't share that interpretation, and there's like no Supreme Court president or judicial precedent for that interpretation either. Right? So it just seems like you're saying you just have this interpretation and you just like believe that it's like the right one. But like, what, like, that's not a productive dispute.
That's why I'm saying the doctor
either we're concerned about the
person,
interpretations we care about, or the one that there's precedent for.
but the abortion doctor affirms that it's a person. I mean, if you want to say that, okay, the state isn't affirming that it's a person. I mean, first,
no, we're saying that we don't share your interpretation, nor is there any precedent for it. Do you disagree? No, you don't. Okay, so like, what's the point? Like, what's your point now? You're just saying you have this interpretation. Yeah, under that interpretation, sure, but like, we don't share it.
So you're saying that we're not currently enforcing the 14th Amendment when it applies to unborn because it's a finished interpretation. Is that it?
Yeah, well, we're saying, there's a precedent for interpreting that amendment, and insofar as like the current precedent or like the established precedent, right, it's not going to generally extend to fetuses. And on our interpretation, it also doesn't extend to fetuses. So we just have different interpretations.
Well, but also,
okay. I mean,
maybe there's a further point that I feel like the further implication would be that if it's unconstitutional, that it's wrong. But like, presumably, there was a time where like, women having rights was unconstitutional, right, or like something like that. But we still thought we still would think it's a good thing, even if it went against the Constitution. So even if we like got to the point where we said it goes against the Constitution, we would just say then that part of the Constitution should change, right? Like, where does it even get us if we say it's unconstitutional? Because the Constitution is just really supposed to reflect like our values, right? So maybe if we think that it doesn't reflect our values, that just means it should change to reflect our values.
That's the thing. All it takes is a Republican president who is willing to actually ban abortion nationally.
No, this is just irrelevant. Hold up. So
I'm saying that because
I think we've resolved the dispute about interpretations. You just have a different one. Now, do you want to talk about whether it's wrong or not, or are you not making the claim that it's morally wrong?
Well, if you want to brush off the idea that it's unconstitutional, then fine. I'm done with the conversation.
Like, we've already resolved that.
We didn't brush off the idea.
You've totally resolved something that you have been aware of for decades, which you just recently got aware of. So I don't trust that you've resolved it for the entire country.
We're saying that
I'm sure you resolved it for yourself, but not for the entire country.
Calm down. What's being said is that you have an interpretation of the amendment. We don't have the interpretation, nor is there precedent for that interpretation. That's it.
No, the amendment preserves life, period.
That's the resolution to the legal part. Now, there's a further question about the moral part. Maybe you want to talk about that. I don't know.
What if you made the same argument where like like back in the day when women didn't have rights, if he was saying like, oh, like women having rights would be unconstitutional, right? Do you agree with me that it's unconstitutional? Yeah, so it's bad. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't really get you anywhere.
I actually just want to use this provision to allow women to sue their abortion doctors. Pro-abortionists do not want that. Every time I bring up this argument,
resolved the legal. Do you have anything else to say?
No, listen. Every time I bring up this argument, you guys go on pro-abortion talking points, not pro-women. I just want to allow the women to sue their abortion doctors.
One second. Wait. Okay. So I think we've resolved the part about interpreting the amendment. Like, what's your new point here?
Well, we've established that you're going against the Roe v. Wade decision on that. I don't care. Your opinion doesn't matter.
No, we're not. No, wait, hold up. We're not going against the Roe v. Wade decision.
They literally said if fetal personhood can be established, right? We've established it. You have to deny the definition of a person.
This guy's super dishonest.
Speaking,
no. The only people who have redefined the definition of personhood,
what we're disputing,
are religious people,
is whether or not it has been established. And we're saying there's no precedent for fetal personhood, or at least there generally isn't. Right?
There actually is a precedent at the federal level. But it switches every time there's a Republican versus Democrat president.
Just give us the precedent
on whether or not we should allow our taxpayer money to fund abortion overseas.
That's talking about
the language of fetal personhood is used
in that. About a different issue. The issue isn't whether taxpayer money should go to funding abortions.
You ask for precedent. I give you precedent.
That's not the precedent we're asking about.
Precedent and interpretation.
We're not asking about taxpayer funding for abortions. We're asking for a precedent for fetal personhood.
I also gave you Roe v. Wade. Right.
Yeah, but you just but like, what's the relevance of that?
Because they said they agree with that if you can establish fetal personhood, which can
that's
the entire thing that we're
moron, or it's a conditional.
How is this guy? This guy's so regarded. It's like,
look, if you're able to establish it, yeah, sure, but we're disputing that it has been established.
That's what the dispute. That's what the dispute has been about since the start. It's like you're not tracking.
Someone else. No, I just realized Flencer left. When he leave?
Ray, what do you want?
Nigger.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's like so cool.
There's another highly regarded person.
That's suggesting that person has autism.
He might be
is
actually regarded.
Autistic people to suggest that they're as stupid as that person.
He was going. That sounded like he had autism.
Is there anyone else in the queue?
You know what's funny? I don't even know if I can steel man any theist position. I always want to say, like, I want to be the. Can I play devil's advocate? But I can't even, like, if I'm an honest interlocutor, I just concede.
Look, steel man this. Schlob is blob. Can you steel man that?
Schlob on my knob, like corn on the cob.
All right, you win.
No, that was a loss.
You don't even know what song's from monkeyboy.
That was like some philosophical pants sagging.
What was even? What the fuck? Wait, I don't even understand what's the point of the women suing their doctors for like whatever. Like, okay, let's just say we could say yes, women should sue their In fact, they should sue their doctors. It's so horrible for the doctors to do that. But abortion is fine for all 9 months. It's possible to have that position. So like, what's the relevance?
Yeah,
it's not even relevant to me why he was saying.
I had to remove you. You can request back up. I don't know why you got a warning.
Oh, that's strange.
Maybe because you said you win.
But yeah, I was gonna say, Davy. I feel like
basketball playing.
I feel like we could have been like, okay, cool, it's unconstitutional. So what?
Yeah, that was the whole point I had.
Yeah.
That like I feel like there's this like enthymeme premise that if it's unconstitutional, it's bad. That he like is gonna want to get to.
Yeah, I mean, I could concede like overthrowing the government is unconstitutional, but if I do believe that the government stuff is unjust,
I mean, I think there's an easier example. At one point, women having rights was unconstitutional.
Yeah, the same. I mean, the Fugitive Slave Act, right? That
yeah, right.
Constitution.
So okay. So what? He's just. It's like he wants to like abuse.
Put him back up here. I want to talk to him.
It's like he wants to like.
No.
Like he wants to sort of like bootstrap the, like.
I think he's equivocating on like the legal
subtextual potency of being unconstitutional.
He's. I feel like premise one is establishing it isn't constitutional, and then like the conclusion, therefore, it's immoral. But
we should have just asked him for the premises and the inference rule.
He's like.
I think I should just restart the live.
What any of that means.
Should I just restart the live?
We should have asked him what kind of logic he's using.
He's gonna use a word you never heard before.
What type of logic?
Maybe he's a.
You think I should restart the live though?
No, I think it's fine.
It's fine. We just need to share the live.
All right, well, let's tap the screen and share the live. We got to get to like 15,000 likes. Come on. At least tap it like 10 times.
You have to try to do like your best.
Come on,
like,
guys. Tap the screen about 10 times at least. Wow, thank you. There's how you want.
Actually, yes.
Come on, y'all.
Is it? Can you help me understand?
Okay, look. What's gonna make you like the live? Come on, y'all. Let's like the live. Get me up to 20K, y'all.
Can you help me understand? Exploring reality. Do you guys? Is he a theist?
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Interesting.
It's the guy with the existential quantifier and then the R.
What are you all talking about? You're talking
What's
about
the R?
person?
Isn't it that guy?
What is R?
It like the capital letter R.
Oh yes. Exploring reality.
Oh, this
Yeah, he's like
Amdir's in here.
Icon.
I just haven't heard his position before. That's why I said help me understand.
Yeah, he's a Christian.
He just
I haven't seen Amdir
posts
in a while.
debates. I haven't heard him.
I saw him join the live.
Yeah, literally. What was it? Yesterday or 2 days ago?
No, like in the chat, like a few minutes ago.
What's poppin', Amdir?
Hello.
We should make a
Not this
TikTok.
live.
We should make a TikTok theology debater tier list. Who's S tier?
Probably some guy we've never heard of.
I'd probably be
Anyone who's not
probably be B
atheist
tier.
is S tier.
That's true for everything. I mean, like, come on.
Like Jack.
Mochi?
Did you know that all atheists are purple because there are no atheists?
True.
What's up, Eddie? What do you want to talk about?
Well, hopefully I could try to convince the host or whoever else here doesn't believe in God that maybe God could exist.
I think I should believe God exists.
Well, not necessarily any specific human religion's God, but that something immaterial or supernatural could exist in our world.
We just mean like a mind that created the universe or something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing your beliefs align with Occam's razor and that the only entity that exists in our world is the universe.
Wait,
what?
Did you believe there's only the universe and nothing else?
Are you just asking a bunch of questions, or do you have like an argument for theism?
Wait, Mason, did you hear what he said?
Well, in my
I'm
world,
just
there's
gonna
either
ignore
there's
the
two
dumb thing he
possible
said.
scenarios. There's a universe and a creator,
Are
or
you
there's
making?
only a
Are you
universe.
making? Are you trying to make?
Wait, how does that follow? If you're like a hold on. If you're like a mathematical Platonist, then you believe that there's
He's
something
not
other
going to
than the universe.
understand what any of that means. Like,
Okay, well, do you believe the universe was created as from a
let's
natural
just figure this
process?
out first. Are you making an argument for theism? Just yes or no?
Sure, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
what's
I'm
the
just-
argument?
this is just one of them. I'm
Don't
giving
ask a
the
single question.
cosmological
Let's
argument,
just give
but-
the argument.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think it's problematic to believe that the universe arose as a natural process. Well, at first, I just need to understand where you guys are at. Like,
Don't
what
ask a
conclusion-
single question. Okay, look, if you don't have,
I don't think he's not making an argument in the way you mean arguments. So
Actually, no, Davey,
it doesn't even have
let
to
this
be
be a
that
Mason
formal
one-on-one. I
debate.
want to
We're
see
just
this.
talking.
that's fine, but he doesn't mean like a set of premises
Okay,
or
so
something.
let me explain what I'm understanding an argument to be. An
Or we could
argument
just
is
have a discussion here. It's not that
an
deep.
argument is a sequence of statements that support a conclusion, right? So either you're doing that, either you have that, or you don't have that, and you just want to ask about our view.
Yeah, sure.
Which one is it?
I mean, dude, I just want to talk. Like, it's not that deep.
Yeah,
like,
but
I just
do
want
you
to.
have- do you have what-
you don't have an
wait,
argument.
Wait.
I do have an
Just leave it
argument.
at a one-on-one with Mason.
I do have an argument. I just
No, but
don't
not an
know how
argument
to-
in the way Mason. Not an
Do you
argument in
have
the way
the
Mason.
wait, do you have an argument in the sense that I spoke about, or do you just want to ask questions about our view?
Yeah, today. Okay, so to clarify, I am being a little bit of a contrarian in the sense that whatever
Which one,
your
wait a
position you guys
second. Which
hold,
one
I'm
is
just-
it? Do you have an argument in the sense I mentioned, or do you just want to ask questions?
Well, that's not a true dichotomy because like
I
name the
never, I
tree
never
is
said
neither,
it was,
right?
but like, which one do you want to do?
Well, it says I'm an atheist. I'm going to try to convince whoever is saying that atheism.
Okay, but
has
do you
value.
have an argument in the sense I mentioned?
Okay, sure. I'll take a theistic argument if you need something to
Okay,
like
do
hold
you
on.
okay,
Just
do you,
answer the
do you
question, bro.
understand the definition of argument I gave?
Yeah, sequence of
Can-
statements.
can-
Yeah, listen, we can
Yeah,
have
that
a
support a
discussion.
conclusion,
man.
right? Yeah. Do you have that? Yes or no?
Yes. I
Okay,
mean,
what
also
is it?
more importantly, I feel like I have
Okay, what is
an
it?
understanding of things, at least enough to have a discussion
Okay,
about
okay.
it.
If you
Okay,
have
just-
it,
just
let's
give-
if you have it, let's just start with the argument. What is it?
Okay, sure. So this for me is going to be the
Yeah, just get to the point, please.
yeah. So do you believe causality is absolute?
Okay, let's
That's
just
a dialogue.
let's
That's a
just pause
dialogue.
there for
Not
one
an
second. Just
argument.
pause
That's
there for
not
one.
answering the
Wait,
question.
just
Are you getting a haircut?
okay, just pause
We're
there for
shaving
one
him some
second.
bald.
You see how you said that you had the argument in the sense that I was
Unless you're
talking about,
shaving him.
but
in
then
the
you
lower
like
place.
instantly went to asking me a question. You see how you did that?
Okay, so you want me to give my argument?
Yeah, I don't want you to ask me anything.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sure. So
Yeah,
well,
like you clearly
think,
signed off on a series of statements, and then
just go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe there could be a creator.
Okay.
That's the well. I think we already
What's
agree
the
with that.
argument? There is a creator, is what we're asking.
Mm-hmm. Everything that I see in the universe seems to be contingent upon something else, right? So every process, every entity, something preceded it for that thing to exist.
Okay. So you're saying like everything
everything
you see seems to have like a cause or something?
Everything that is of matter, yeah, without exception, is contingent upon something else. There's a certain set of conditions. There's a certain set of conditions. If this, then that, and that applies to absolutely everything in the universe. So if you take it all the way back,
come on, let's just leave that on one-on-one,
wait a
bro.
second.
So if you take it all the way back, you keep asking the why questions. From what I understand, you guys, it starts at the Big Bang. Potentially, there's some other theories that are saying maybe an infinite universe or whatever. But you eventually, consider this analogy. Consider that these sort of like this sequence of contingency is kind of like a domino chain.
Sure.
There has to be some one domino falls because the one before it did, and so on. But there has to be some first domino that wasn't contingent upon anything else. There had to be some like prime mover that set like this chain of motions and like chain of events into motion.
One alternative is that it's like infinite.
Okay, sure. So that the universe in some form has always existed.
Okay. Yeah. So that's another. We agree that there doesn't have to be a first member.
But I think there should be at least a little bit of evidence for that.
Hold up. I'm not saying that it's true. I'm saying it's a possibility.
Mm-hmm, exactly. So, but atheism crosses out.
Okay. So you agree that when you say there has to be a
I'm not saying it has to be. I'm just saying atheism.
So you agree that there's a possibility that there isn't a first cause, right?
Yes, but I also think that this means
now that you've agreed there,
it is possible.
All right, now that you've agreed there, just continue with the rest of the argument. Just know that we know there's a possibility of this now. All right, go ahead. Right, so you're saying everything you've observed or everything in the material universe is contingent on something else, or like depends on something else.
Yeah, and a creator external to this universe, meaning the laws of the universe that govern it don't apply to this entity.
Okay, we have everything. Just calm down. You're confused. Okay, we have everything in the universe is contingent on another thing. Okay, what is the next statement? Right, because we're looking for things that get us to the conclusion that God exists. We have everything in the universe is contingent on something else. Like, proceed, please.
Yeah, you keep muting me. So, if you have a group of things and everything within that group can be explained by something else in the group, then the explanation for the entire group cannot be found within the group.
Okay, sure.
Therefore, a possible explanation for the universe could be external to the universe, not necessarily something within the universe itself.
Yeah, so here
atheism,
let me try to
as a school of thought, crosses out God as an option.
Yeah, well, before you go on, like, I think I know what you're saying, and you're saying it in a kind of poor way. So you're trying to say that everything, and you're trying to say that everything, you're trying to say like, okay, well, everything in the universe is contingent, and you're trying to say, well, the collection of everything in the universe has an explanation, but the explanation perhaps couldn't be a contingent thing. That's what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah, a prime mover, as in the first.
One problem. Now here's a problem with that presentation of the argument. A counter model would be there is an explanation for all the contingent things in the universe that's like outside of the universe. So it itself is a contingent thing, right? It just isn't in the universe.
So you're saying
you'd have to rule out that possibility.
So you're saying that just pushes the question back?
No, I'm saying a counter model to what you're bringing up is that everything in the material universe is contingent, but it has some other contingent explanation that's just not in the universe, right? So I'm saying you'd have to account for that.
No, but I agree. I agree. I just don't disagree that disproves my proposal.
I'm kicking this guy off. He's like stupid.
Hold on, wait. Can I?
No.
I wanted to say something like 2 sentences to him.
This guy's a waste of time. He's not going to understand anything.
Maybe Amdir could have talked to him. Amdir is pretty good with contingency.
That guy is like complete. He's complete. He's not going to go anywhere.
I actually forgot I was up here, and I just like started reading articles on the internet. And had this turned down really low.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what the heck he meant by universe, because what I take the universe to be is like continuum.
He's not going to have any definition. He's not going to know how to define things. These people are.
Yeah. But yeah, but I just wanted to know if you
honestly,
could even conceive of it. Like,
Wait, is he requesting? I do want Amdir to try and talk with him.
Like so poorly.
Yeah, okay, let's hear Amdir try to talk.
But look, there's just like one point of confusion. No.
Why did you bring him back up?
Listen, I'm open to changing my mind.
Well, hold on, Jesus. Look, just for to be very clear, it's not a commitment of the sense of atheism as we are, that we're denying the possibility of a God. That's not what we mean by atheist. By atheist, what we mean is we have good epistemic reasons to think there isn't a God.
Understand anything you're saying.
Look, the point is we all agree on this panel, everyone, well, at least, I'm just going to say we all agree that there's possibly a God, but, you know.
I'm not even sure I agree with that. But
I know. Just suppose we all believe it's possible that there's a God. We're asking what are the reasons to think there is one?
Listen, I know there's.
Why did you bring this guy back up? He doesn't even know what he's doing.
Let's be clear on the question being asked to you. It's not impossible that God exists, right? It's not what we believe.
Eddie, we're just asking you if you have an argument.
My premise isn't. You're right.
Hold on.
Based off evidence.
We're just clearly asking you, which we've been asking you, if you have an argument for the existence of God.
Yeah, I was saying that everything we observe in the universe depends on something else for its existence. And that this chain of dependency, like it can't stretch infinitely. There are certain scientific theories.
Does Amdir want to talk?
Okay, why can't the chain stretch infinitely? Just do that.
I mean, if he's probably busy reading, I don't know.
So in your worldview,
hold on, Amdir, what are you?
Oh my God!
I just wanted to know what was the last thing that you said? I was not listening.
I do believe
an infinite chain.
Yeah. So I don't think our discomfort with infinity means it's impossible. I do agree that it's possible that it could stretch infinitely, but I'm just saying it also may not. That's all I'm saying.
But Eddie, we asked you not to give an argument if it's possible.
Well, hold on, hit team. Like, okay, so
you just asked for reasons to believe in God. That is a reason to consider his existence.
Hold on. Okay, so time may stretch infinitely. It may not. What follows from that? Like, what is the point that you're getting at?
Yeah, so that if it doesn't stretch infinitely, then you have a prime mover, the first domino, that doesn't depend on anything else.
By a prime mover, do you just mean that if time does not go infinitely far back, then there's a first moment?
Yeah, like the first domino pusher who isn't part of the chain.
Okay, maybe I should clarify something here. Are you saying that either time regresses infinitely or it doesn't, or are you saying either causation regresses infinitely or it doesn't?
Okay, so I gave this argument of contingency, right? And usually how people respond with it, some people respond with it by saying
just answer that question.
has always existed. That's
so
usually
when you're talking about this regress, are you talking about like a causal regress or a regress of moments like time, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, a causal regress, as in causality.
Okay, so
absolutely true.
So then you're saying if causation is if there's no infinite causal regress, then there's a first cause, right? That's all you're saying.
Yeah, that it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, supposing that, there might be a first cause, what follows from that?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
What's the next step there? So maybe there's a first cause, what follows from that?
Okay, how about this analogy? This analogy might be a little bit better. Consider like a skyscraper that like is infinitely tall.
Wait, we're moving on from the infinite thing. So I'm saying like, let's just grant that the causation is finite. Okay, so there's a first cause. Now what?
That a god, a creator external to this universe fits that description of a prime mover.
Yeah, a god might be a first cause. A lot of other things might be a first cause. How do you get from first cause to God?
Because by God, I don't necessarily mean a Christian God. I just mean a creator, that it was intelligent design.
Yeah, so like here's like something else. Like maybe there's something that is not intelligent that's a first cause. Like how are you ruling those things out?
Such as like the Big Bang?
I'm not saying something specific. I'm just saying how are you ruling out non-intelligent first causes?
Because this prime mover, at least if we were to suggest that there was a prime mover, it cannot be in the universe. Because everything that we witness in the universe, if it was a natural process of the universe, that too would also have to have.
How are you ruling out non-intelligent first causes that are external to the universe?
So you're saying that it could the universe. So then you're conceding that.
Wait, there's also not a reason to think it's outside the universe because we haven't gotten to like we're looking for a cause of the universe or something like that. All we've established so far is that there's a first cause. I mean, maybe it is in the universe.
Do you want to just grant him?
But that would just push the question back.
Him that it's outside the universe, like
that would push the question back. You would have to ask what caused that natural process.
Push the question back to what?
If it's a first cause, nothing else caused it. That's kind of the point of a first cause.
So if you were to say it was the Big Bang,
Wait, one second, Amdir, real quick, are you willing to grant him that it's like outside of the universe too, or is that too much?
I mean, I can. I just don't.
He's doing this thing where he says it's pushing the question back, but how is God not pushing the question back by the same logic?
Yeah, you're right. That in itself is something we're talking. I'm just saying, if you're going to say it's
At this point,
a natural
like,
process,
I don't think he's going to get anything, and I just kind of want to grant as much as possible.
I mean, we can try to do that. So, like, okay, how are you granting things outside the universe that are non-intelligent first causes?
So we're agreeing that there is an first cause external to the universe.
Yeah.
How are you getting from that to it being intelligent?
If it's external in our universe, then we don't understand it. Whatever laws.
Let's just grant we don't understand it. Let's grant we don't understand it. How are you getting from that to it being intelligent?
Well, because it's non-contingent. Unlike
okay, let's grant it's non-contingent. How are you getting from that to it being intelligent?
I think you're breaking his brain.
Because it's like a because it's something that exists. Necessary.
It's a necessary being. How are you getting to that, from that to it being intelligent?
Because in order for it to be the prime mover of this chain of events, it cannot be part of the universe.
Yeah, we are granting that already, stupid.
And B,
dude,
it
this guy
exists
is so
in all
lost.
possible worlds.
Right, we're gonna this is the last time.
So we're granting that it's in all possible worlds. Okay, so how are you getting from there to it's intelligent?
Well, because there are certain things to indicate in the universe that it was intelligently designed.
Like what?
Like
so now we're just going to an intelligent design.
Like that doesn't immediately prove God, but at point.
Okay, just give us the argument that it's intelligent.
Two things. One is fine tuning. The second thing is we live in an expanding universe, and the Big Bang, therefore, as a singularity, if everything's been expanding from one point outwards, and that's the environment we've currently like.
Okay, so let's just talk about fine tuning.
So we haven't said anything about Big Bang. I don't even know why that's being brought up.
Let's just grant that there's some sort of fine-tuning. How are you getting from that to it being intelligent?
Because if any one of these constants was off by like...
Yeah, that's just what it means to say there's fine-tuning. Okay, so we're granting that. How are you getting from that to it being intelligent?
Okay, maybe intelligence is a conclusion that's a little bit of a jump from the conclusion I'm just coming to, which is that...
Are you no longer saying it's intelligent?
Yeah, I'm not going to go down there. Yeah.
Okay, so now what are you saying?
Are you just conceding
this
it's not
domino
required
chain
that's God?
isn't just an infinite domino chain?
Okay, yeah, we've already granted there's a first cause. Is that all you had to say?
Yeah, so then why is it impossible to believe that it could in fact be?
We never said it's impossible. We never said it's impossible.
You're the one who said it's required that it's a God.
Right? We're just asking you to get us from there being a first cause to.
Exactly.
Because otherwise, we're just left with an endless series of why questions.
You just said it. Oh my God! Yeah, just kick him. He literally just conceded it's possible.
Endless series of why questions that totally aren't on my view too.
I mean,
yeah, bro.
Like, the thing is, I don't know. There was a lot of things that I might not have even wanted to grant. If he was going to grant that it's not intelligent, I might have just said, okay, well, now I'm also no longer granting that it's necessary. Like, how are you getting from a first cause to it's necessary?
Oh, this guy just said in the chat that we lost. Let's see how dumb he is.
Yeah, we totally lost by granting him everything, and he still can't prove God.
Yeah, what's up, Rare? Apparently we lost. Do you want to explain how we lost, or you just want to argue for the existence of God?
Raw. R-A-W.
Yeah, whatever. Do you want to answer that question?
What was the question?
Yeah, do you want to explain how we lost, or do you want to just give an argument for the existence of God?
Are those my only options?
Yeah.
Oh, then neither.
Okay. That was cool.
You cannot prove or disprove God. I was just saying God is possible. In an atheist worldview, God is not possible. I'm not sure,
I'm gonna just mute this guy.
I mean, for one, there's if there's just talking about I don't know what modality he's talking about, but in standard views of modality, that's only going to be true for conceptions of God where God's necessary. But even there, I think when people just talk in everyday life and say, oh, it's possible I'm wrong, maybe God does exist or maybe God doesn't exist or something, they're probably just saying something like epistemic modality, like it's consistent with what I believe or what I know that God exists or something. So it's not.
Tap the like, by the way.
But like that's a commitment of atheism. But
Tap the screen. Also, check out my YouTube channel if you haven't. Great content. You're gonna find content of all of us up here. I don't think I have a lot of Davy content. Maybe like 2 videos, but it's not even in a playlist or anything.
Why would you want content of me?
Of Davy? Don't you feel like a celebrity being on my channel? Davy always used to say how he dreamt of being on my channel.
I don't think I said that.
Yeah, but you implied it.
I was asking for it.
Let's see what else holy apologists we could get up here. God's chosen defenders.
If you want to talk about tag, just come up here, or you'll get muted for the entire life.
How do you negate this argument that I can't defend?
Nah, don't mute. Don't mute her. Or him or whoever.
nobody's ever managed to negate the tag argument.
Yeah. Tag is untrue is unassailable. It's just like so dumb to say. It's like trivially true.
Premise 1, there's a banana 10 quadrillion miles away from us. Premise 2, if there's a banana 10 quadrillion miles away, then God exists. Conclusion, God exists. They can't prove premise 1 wrong, right?
Come on, let's tap the screen. Let's try and get some more people up here. Is there any theists in here? No, I don't think. Yeah, playback Davy.
No, that was me tapping.
Cookie clicker?
That was me tapping the screen.
Thank you. That's so nice of you.
That's what everyone should be doing. They should be doing this.
Yep. You tap your screen like Amdir does.
Can somebody come up?
I tap my screen the way Amdir types.
Nah, the thing is, Amdir has that satisfying clicking sound. It's like a digital one.
No, it actually sounds like popping like rapping.
But you guys are like crazy or something. You'll have like some guy like essentially like shout a vague cloud, and you guys will like start like jumping at it.
No, Davey does that.
No, that's not really. We're not. It's not that we're punching the mist. We're like poking it with a stick.
You do that.
Hello, Sarang, Sarah. Are you a brave defender of the tag argument?
No. I'm so sorry. You got it wrong. I am also an atheist, but here in the Philippines, they always like use the tag argument and the JTB to defend their faith. So whenever we get into like debate to them, we get circular, and they just don't like accept that tag argument is a circular reasoning. So that's why I'm just asking you guys if you have something to do, if you have some like insight on how to negate the tag argument.
Yeah, it's super easy. So I mean, well, is this the version you've heard? Like, if we, God is a necessary condition for knowledge. We have knowledge, so God exists. Like, is that the idea, or have you heard a different one?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So in order for you to have like a knowledge or logic, you need to have like a presupposed conditions that your grounding is like there is to be a God that gives you that knowledge or logic.
The short answer is okay. So the short answer is the first premise is false. How do you know that? Well, you figure out, well, what's the definition of knowledge, or whatever else you're talking about, the laws of logic, etc. And once you're aware of the definition, you can figure out that none of the conditions required to have them involve a God of any kind. And then you can just say, well, under my definition, there's just like no requirement for God to exist. You must be using some different definition maybe, but on my definition, P1 is going to be false. So that's what I would advise you to do.
I see. Because like whenever we pull out like the standard definitions of it, they just try to negate it. Oh, we don't believe in that definitions. We have our own definitions.
Yeah.
We always say
exactly. So just say on my definition, the first premise is false. And you can even try to get them to agree that on your definition, the premise is false. And then if they're saying there's some different definition that the premise is true, maybe you'll just deny that you have knowledge. Maybe they'll define knowledge in a way where you'll actually agree that premise 1 is true on their definition, but then you'll just no longer accept that you have knowledge.
I see. I got you.
It's like this kind of duality where it's like, okay, well, if you're using my definition, P1 is false, P2 is true. And if you're using some different definition, maybe P1 is true, but P2 is false.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Gonna go down now.
Yeah, no problem.
We have to do like
belief doesn't mean truth.
We have to do like seminars on like why tag doesn't work. Tag is like prime like atheist, don't know, like white belt atheist bait.
No, atheists just have to throw in the towel.
True. It's been a good run.
I don't know what y'all were talking about. When I said I used to be a theist, that doesn't preclude me from still being a theist.
Philippines? What?
That's crazy.
What does that even mean?
I don't understand why every single precept that I listen to takes knowledge to be JTB, because if you understand knowledge is JTB, there's just like no reason why you can't have that under atheism.
Well, justified means God exists. That's just what justified means.
Or truth. They're going to say truth requires God.
No, justified.
God is truth.
Justified means being produced by cognitive faculties that were designed. You don't get it.
By God.
Yeah, but God's beliefs aren't justified then, but that's okay.
No, yeah, that's obviously not a special pleading.
I'd take the JGB account of knowledge, justified God-given belief.
I've always had that one. Yeah, these people are coming late to the party.
That's what the philosophers are talking about, right?
The ones in the Philippines.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, precisely.
I'm like imagining like people in the Philippines like going around door to door with like assault rifles, telling people to justify their worldviews, like terrorizing.
Isn't that already what happens in the Orthodox communities?
Mm-hmm. By the way, I live in the Philippines, no joke.
What? Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Why are you saying it like I'm lying?
Kind of. I don't really.
I've said this on a number of occasions, right, Amdir?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
That I live in the Philippines.
I don't think I said anything like you're. I don't think I said anything like you're lying. You're just like imagining that.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't have a faculty of imagination. That's how I know you're lying.
Okay, you want to know a pet peeve I have? A pet peeve I have is.
Well, don't ask the question, then when answered no, go on to tell me your pet peeve.
You're right.
Okay. Yeah, I have strong inductive motivation. I think I'm always right.
Well, obviously that statement is supported by the inductive motivation as well.
No. Anyways, Amdir, how's
still less circular than theism.
Pipe down, Daddy's talking. Amdir, just curious, are you gonna get that Vibes paper published?
Probably not.
Humor laughed at it. Apparently, Humor was laughing at it.
What paper?
He's gonna publish a paper on the Vibes thesis.
Vibes-based epistemology.
Yep, and Humor laughed at it and stuff.
Wait, but Humor is literally the original vibes-based epistemology guy. So,
wait, how did he see it?
Yeah, he laughed at it because it wasn't unique.
He's like, ha, you fucking idiot! I already thought of this.
Yeah, exactly.
You regard.
Yep.
Whoa!
What, you're saying you're highly regarded to have his same views?
Whoa! Yes. I don't condone all this language.
Did I? I don't think I need you to condone it. Is that like a commitment of the Vibes thesis that you have to condone it?
Yeah.
I think it's in chat. It's good to say like refarted because the F is like the closest character to a T.
That sounds more regarded, though. Anyways, any regarded theists? I guess that's redundant. Is there any theists that want to come up? Oh, it seems we have one. All right, Davy, what's the argument?
I thought I already gave one with the banana. I mean,
I just have to ask for a point of clarity. I just gotta ask for a point of clarity. Is the argument you're providing aimed to be sound?
Yeah.
Okay, that was vital.
That was funny.
Okay. Well, the argument's clearly not sound.
I mean, according to my vibes-based epistemology, it actually has pretty good vibes, so.
Yeah, but due to my phenomenal conservativist view, I just have the intuition. You don't have the vibe. And that even if I hadn't had the intuition of your vibe, it's just I have this strong intuition that these
you're giving me
unsound.
Well, actually, you're giving me bad vibes. So I think you're lying. So actually, you don't have the intuition that I have.
Bad vibes don't exist.
What's the argument?
If I have the intuition, it doesn't exist. Then I'm justified in believing it doesn't exist. I have the intuition, it doesn't exist. Therefore, I'm justified in believing it doesn't exist.
Okay, what's the argument for premise 10?
If there's a cake on the table, then God exists. There isn't oranges in my mouth. Therefore, Davy's a fairy.
Can some guy come up?
Everyone today has been like philosophically pants-sagging.
That's crazy.
Mason hates the pants-saggers.
Well, well, well.
You didn't see it last live that we were talking about the philosophical pants-saggers?
Nope.
Oh.
You know, I'm taking a class right now where I have to code an assembly. It's actually hell. You know what assembly is?
You can't believe in hell, you're an atheist.
It's actually like what it would be like to experience hell, if hell existed.
Yeah, I took that class last year. It's probably my worst class I've ever taken in terms of like
what's it called? What's it called in your university?
So mine, it was called I think it was called something like electrical and computer something. I think it was called intro to engineering and computer science or something like that. It was like this. It's basically a weed out class for like engineering first years.
Wait, what architecture were you coding in?
LC3.
Oh, I don't know what that is. I'm coding in MIPS, but the textbook is in RISC, which is like really annoying because the registers have different names from MIPS, and like some of the like pseudo instructions are different, I think. But the guy's super qualified. It's just rough. No, of course I won't need to use it again. Oh, this guy's up here again.
Why is Raw back? Why are you up here, Raw?
So, Raw, your name is Odyssey 404. Is the error you're getting from your knowledge not being found?
No.
Is that a good burn mob?
Wait, is this
Can
guy
Mob come
gonna
up?
like defend theism or something like what?
Yeah, why the hell are you up here, yo? What about exploring realities in here? You want to talk with the Mason?
What? About what?
I don't know, theism. Presumably he has an argument he could defend.
Probably not very good one.
Yeah, I've yet to see any good arguments. So, Raw, why are you up here? What do you want?
There's like various reasons.
Wait, what? Oh,
are you able to communicate them? Wait, is this Clark?
No,
There's no way.
Not.
That doesn't sound like.
Oh my! Wait, it's not Clark.
It's not. It's somebody else.
Wait, talk.
No, trust me, it's not Clark. It's someone else.
The saying various reasons is such an obvious set off that you're a troll.
Wait, but who is the Mason? Someone I know?
No, I'm not sure. Maybe.
I mean, he said like 3 words.
What is his name on Discord?
I'm sorry.
Oh my god. Well, I mean, I'm sorry. It's not like A troll. Not that I know of,
I'm
anyways.
just gonna kick him off.
A
Sounds
dude on
familiar.
Discord.
Sounds familiar.
I think he'd be in vegan world.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Also, Exploring Reality instantly left when I sent him the invite.
I mean, dude has like kids and shit. It's a Friday
In
night.
opposition to avoid.
True. I like the idea that there's like drive-bys and stuff, but we're just like philosophy nerds. Danny was talking about what's his name? That like bald guy. Wait, what's his name? What's his name?
Subscribe to my YouTube, everyone, and let's tap the like. Let's get to. We can easily reach 2,000 people.
Tim.
Likes. Oh, isn't that the dude Amdir debated a bunch?
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, Danny was talking about Tim doing drive-bys.
I haven't debated Tim a bunch. I only talked to him one time.
By drive-bys, do you mean like hood drive-bys?
Like joins the live, debates for a bit, and then leaves right after.
That's not what I was thinking about when I thought drive-by. I was thinking about spraying the ops, but you know.
Well, he is doing that just verbally.
Maybe with a water gun. Wait, isn't Tim a gibberator or no?
Probably. He's like not very honest. Amdir would know better than me, though. He's talked to him.
I'm not gonna talk bad about anybody on this live.
I mean, it's like a classroom full of people. You can educate
talk
them.
good about him, Amdir. You can at least do him the favor.
He's a cool person, fun to talk to.
He's fun to talk to. Okay. Would you say he's sexy?
Probably not.
Okay. Man, where's all the cool guys to bash their heads in the walls and stuff like that? I think this... Look, I'll restart maybe, should I?
I'm just scrolling through Truth or websites right now while I wait for people to join.
I'm probably going to restart, to be honest. Okay, I'm going to restart.
How do I become a purple belt atheist? Well, you start as a brown belt atheist, and then you bang your head against the wall a couple times.
Well, I have different methodology, but yeah, that's one of the...
You start as a brown belt because the belt is stuck up your ass, and you have to wash it and before you become a white belt.
Interesting. How does it get up there, though? Or is it like a brute fact?
It's just everyone is born that way.
Oh, it's innate. It's just what God desired.
Actually, yes.
But wouldn't you say that being up your ass is like unnecessary pain?
No. It builds our souls.
Oh, it's for soul building. Okay.
Did I stutter? Oh, look, Matt Adams joined the live.
You did. Oh, Amdir loves that guy. Let me invite him.
Oh yeah, I have nothing bad to say about Matt Adams, though.
Of course not. No one does.
I just love everybody except for Rasoul and Dr. Truth.
What about Cypher? There's
And
no
Cypher.
way you... Yeah. J-Rob? Or...
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, obviously.
Cypher's way worse than J-Rob, though. Mari, I think Mari's in the clear.
Well, Mari kicked me from their live last time.
Thing is, he is dishonest, but he's like... He is more competent than J-Rob and Cypher combined. But that's
Mari,
not saying much anyways.
Mari kicked me for giving my, Davy was there, I gave my parody tag argument.
Wait, Mari is a precept?
Yeah.
Actually, we got him to that tag doesn't work.
Well, yeah, he might have changed his mind. I don't know.
He definitely changed his mind, but we got
The
him
thing
to
is, he
admit-
actually changes his minds, but he always like changes them back is the thing.